Chapter 14:13. Time passed quickly, and 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. Inside the Ascension Pool, under the continuous attacks of Heavenly Lord Xian Shu, Feng Wuzi, and a sword slave, the world barrier of the 5 small worlds finally showed signs of breaking. Although the world barrier had neutralized most of the power of the attack, the shockwave still caused great damage to the insides of the 5 small worlds. Other than the palace in the mortal emperor world, almost all the other buildings in the small worlds were damaged. The caves, palaces, and dojos where the cultivators lived were slightly better, but the houses where the civilians lived were all turned into dust. There were also many casualties among the cultivators and civilians. They were in a state of fear and despair all day long. They kept staring at the world barrier, afraid that it would break completely one day. Other than the dead lord, who was still very relaxed, Dugamujian and the other masters, as well as Su Feng's subordinates in the large worlds, were all exhausted, but they still took turns to inject true qi and demonic qi into the world barrier. Why isn't Master back yet? Did something happen at the bottom of the Ascension Pool? On one hand, they were worried about the small worlds, but on the other hand, they were anxious about Su Feng. The dead lord smiled eerily. It's best if Su Feng dies down there. That way, I'll have a chance to rise. How can a mere clone control me? The Bloodman clone, sitting cross-legged in the palace in the mortal emperor world, suddenly opened his eyes and spoke to Dugamujian and the other immortal emperors. I've already killed the 2 sword slaves and obtained a great opportunity. After a few more months, I and my second primordial spirit will come back. I'm confident that I can kill Heavenly Lord Xian Shu and Feng Wuzi in one fell swoop. Everyone was instantly energized, and their morale soared. Only the dead lord had to suppress the rebellious thoughts in his heart. Outside the world barrier. Damn it, I can destroy a planetary region, but I can't do anything to 5 small worlds. Heavenly Lord Xian Shu's face was as dark as a rock, and his eyes were filled with anxiety. He had originally thought that with him and Feng Wuzi attacking, they would only need one strike to destroy the 5 small worlds. Who would have thought that after attacking for so long? Not only did they use the heavenly mandate Hao Tsang Sek's ultimate divine ability, but they also used their Tao artifact. The world barrier was still as stable as a rock. He had forcefully restored his cultivation base to the peak of the 9th Tao, Saint's celestial stage, using the heaven mandate bright firmament Sek's forbidden technique. If he continued to persist, not only would it be difficult for him to maintain his cultivation base, but his cultivation base might even drop forever. How could he not be anxious? Moreover, the 2 sword slaves who had gone to kill Su Feng and the immortal demon monster had also not returned. Due to the influence of the barrier and shackles, it was difficult to sense whether they were alive or dead. Heavenly Lord Xian Shu wanted to go down and help, but when he thought of the Xianming Thunder Archive in Su Feng's hands, he had to give up the idea. This tortoise shell is indeed hard enough. Feng Wuzi nodded. Then, the divine light in Feng Wuzi's eyes pierced through the world barrier and saw the terrified cultivators and civilians in the small worlds. He revealed a cruel smile and said coldly, "Senior Brother Xian Shu, don't you think it's very interesting to see these ants struggling and wailing in despair?" Heavenly Lord Xian Shu smiled bitterly and then revealed a ruthless expression. "Once this tortoise shell is broken, I'll skin everyone in the 5 small worlds." Feng Wuzi continued, "Senior Brother, don't be anxious. The world barrier of the small worlds won't last much longer. After helping Senior Brother completely solve the problem here, I'll go look for Zhang Run." Heavenly Lord Xian Shu said in surprise, "Zhang Ruoyan? The peerless genius of the gluttonous celestial sect who is famous in the immortal realm and owns the immortal Jia Gate? That's right, it's that girl." Feng Wuzi's eyes were filled with admiration. Heavenly Lord Xian Shu said curiously, "Although the gluttonous celestial sect is considered a first-rate force in the immortal realm, it's far inferior to our heaven mandate bright firmament sect. Since Junior Brother Feng Wuzi likes this girl, why don't you ask the sect to propose a marriage alliance and become Tao companions with her? Do you think the gluttonous celestial sect dares to refuse?" Feng Wuzi shook his head and said, "Senior Brother, You only know one thing and don't know the other. If it was before, I would naturally ask the sect to step in. If they refused, I would directly destroy the gluttonous celestial sect. But now, Zhang Ruiyun has found a great backer and has been taken in as the last disciple of the Ni Xia celestial supremacy. The Ni Xia celestial supremacy is a supreme existence standing at the peak of the great worlds, and the sect doesn't dare to force her. I see. But with junior brother Feng Wuxi's talent, Zhang Ruiyun will become junior brother sooner or later. I spent a lot of effort to find out about Zhang Ruiyun. I don't know why, but not long ago, she came to this desolate immortal realm with the Ni Xia celestial supremacy. If I can have a chance encounter with her, So junior apprentice brother has come to this immortal region for this woman. Let's help senior brother solve the problem here first. What followed was an even more ferocious attack. The 5 small worlds were on the verge of collapsing under the terrifying attacks of the great divine ability. At the bottom of the ascension pool, Su Feng, who was sitting cross-legged and cultivating, suddenly felt a movement in his body. It was a big movement. This movement came from the Heaven and Earth Tao Palace. The 36th meridian that was being attacked was about to be successfully born as a yang meridian. The birth of the 36th yang meridian meant that the 9 yang 9 transformations had stepped into the 4th transformation. Therefore, this yang meridian was very important. Not only did it require the accumulation of yang qi, but it also required a great opportunity. Nearly 200 years had passed since the birth of the 35th yang meridian. It was the longest time Su Feng had spent cultivating the 9 yang 9 transformations to form a yang meridian. He had accumulated enough, and the only thing he lacked was an opportunity. This time, Su Feng finally grasped a great opportunity. The opportunity to form the 36th yang meridian naturally came from the celestial spirit root. However, it was not because of yang qi, but because of the comprehension of the 9 yang 9 transformations technique. The immortal fiend monster used about 2 years to devour the vitality of the celestial spirit root. Then its second primordial spirit merged with the main body. This way, Su Feng obtained the profound power within. As if enlightened, Su Feng comprehended the profound power of nature of the heavenly Tao. He felt enlightened about the 9 yang 9 transformations, the heavenly secret life, shrinking technique, the ethereal true explanation, and other cultivation techniques. It was as if he was standing at the peak of a mountain and looking down below, reaching a new height. Su Feng mainly focused on the 9 yang 9 transformations. The 9 yang 9 transformations was Su Feng's divine mirror cultivation technique. At this moment, Su Feng could already control the Origin's sacred mirror and suppress a 9 Tao realm expert like the Dead Lord. If he could reach the 4th transformation and use the mirror, what could Heavenly Lord Xian Shu and Feng Wuxi do? Of course, the prerequisite was that he could use the mirror to attack cultivators. His comprehension of the cultivation technique had reached a new height. Not only did it make it easier to circulate the yang qi in the 35th meridian, but the Heaven and Earth Tao will also underwent a drastic change due to his deep understanding of the cultivation technique. The 36th yang meridian was about to be born. Sizzle. After Su Feng gathered all the energy in his body and attacked repeatedly, the 36th yang meridian was finally successfully formed. A shocking 9 yang flame burned in the 36th meridian. It was no longer an ordinary meridian, but a jade-like yang meridian. Then, Su Feng activated all the pure yang qi in the yang meridian. At the same time, he also absorbed the 9 yin frost qi from the Origin sacred realm. Like a surging river, it surged into the newly born yang meridian with a roaring momentum. The 36th yang meridian was born. The 28th to 36th yang meridian formed the 4th transformation of the 9 yang 9 transformations, the yang meridian. It was not over yet. Just like the 2nd and 3rd transformations, the 9th yang meridian of the 4th transformation shifted. The 36th yang meridian fused together to form a more complicated, profound, and mysterious spiral yang qi pattern. After the yang meridian vortex calmed down, The yang energy in the 36th yang meridian fused with the true energy inside of him. First, it went through minor circulations, then major circulations, before being absorbed by the world seed. The world seed immediately gave off a resplendent light. It was like a star in the Milky Way, and it spun a bit faster. After the world seed's lotus pod shattered, it turned into clouds and mist that floated around the world seed. The power of the world of yin and yang within the world seed now contained a bit of godliness, as if it were the power of a god. The entire heaven and earth Tao palace was bathed in the light of godliness, and the profound underworld lightning scroll and the Yellow Springs reincarnation sword were both trembling. However, the origin sacred mirror didn't move at all. That was how the most consummate god items were. The 9 Yang 9 transformations is finally in the 4th transformation, Su Fong said, clenching his fists in excitement. The 9 Yang 9 transformations was a godly class energy art, and anyone who cultivated a Yang meridian would be significantly stronger. Therefore, it was only natural that the 4th transformation would be shocking. After the 4th transformation, his overall strength increased tremendously once more. Whether it was activating the world seed, controlling the spiritual chi of heaven and earth, or controlling magic treasures and mana, all of them increased by nearly 10 times. His cultivation speed had undergone another great transformation. That wasn't all. The Yang meridian was also a fire meridian and a lightning meridian, and as a result, the fire-type godliness and lightning-type godliness within the Yang meridian had undergone major transformations. Power of tribulation lightning. Su Fong drew on his Yang meridian and the lightning-type power within his fleshly body, causing violet gold lightning to flicker around him. He looked like a domineering god of lightning, pulsing with terrifying lightning-type godliness that seemed to contain the will of the Tao of heaven. With a punch, the power of the thunder punishment transformed into a bolt of lightning, shattering the surrounding enchantments. It rumbled and extended for thousands of feet before gradually weakening. He didn't need any lightning-type divine abilities or Tao items. That fist strike alone was enough to kill a 6 Tao Sage Immortal. It could even threaten a 7 Tao Sage Immortal. Then he drew on his Fire Cloud True Body. Boom! Su Fong turned into a sea of fire and swept out. The surrounding aegis melted and shattered by the domineering 9 Suns, Celestial Fire. The power of the 9 Suns, Celestial Fire, and Fire Cloud True Body has nearly doubled again, but still less than 1/10,000th of the 9 Suns True Fire from the origin Sacred Mirror. After reaching the 4th transformation, I should be able to further control the mirror. Even if it's just a little bit more, it'll still be extremely powerful. It'll be easier to suppress resurrected powerhouses like the Undead Lord, but I wonder if it could be used against cultivators. Su Fong then drew on his 9 Suns, 9 transformations, divine abilities, giant diamond body, titan palm, and indestructible golden body. His giant form was more than 200 feet tall, like the legendary god of war, and he had the aura of a god. The titan palm focused on offense, while the indestructible golden body focused on defense, with one attacking and one defending, and the giant diamond body. Su Fong was confident that he could kill a 9 Tao Sage Immortal with one palm strike. The only drawback was that using the giant diamond body consumed too much true chi, so he couldn't use it for a long time. Second primordial spirit. How's your body recovering? Su Fong asked as he looked at the demonic god monster sitting cross-legged not far away. A sharp and cold light flashed in his eyes. It was time to get out of here and take care of Heavenly Lord Xian Shu and Feng Wuzi. =R download address. Mobile reading. Bibliographic review. Chapter 14:14. The second primordial spirit said coldly, "The time is too short. The life force in the celestial spirit root has not fully merged with it. My physical body has not recovered by 10%. However, I already have the strength to fight against a peak stage immortal emperor. Combined with the primordial spirit's divine power, I can kill a peak stage immortal emperor." Very good. Heaven Lord Xian Shu's body was related to the whereabouts of a blood jade. Su Fong could not let him escape this time. It was easy to defeat a peak stage immortal emperor, but not so easy to kill. To prevent Heaven Lord Xian Shu from escaping like last time, Su Fong made thorough preparations this time. First, he took out the sword slave whose physical body was still in good condition and let the second primordial spirit live in it. Then, he let the second primordial spirit leave a seal on the original body. Finally, he put away the monster's physical body and flew toward the ascension pool with the weakened Su Fong. In the ascension pool, boom! Under the joint attack of 2 peak stage immortal emperors and a 9-stage Saint Immortal Realm sword slave, a huge hole finally appeared in the sturdy world barrier. Su Fong, this time I will capture you and your small world in one fell swoop. Ha ha! Heavenly Lord Xian Shu laughed heartily. His gray eyes were filled with cruelty. Suddenly, a golden-robed sword slave flew out from the bottom of the ascension pool with Su Fong. Master, Su Fong has already been captured alive by this subordinate. The experts under him have also been killed. The golden-robed sword slave shot out a corpse from his palm. It was the corporeal body of the immortal fiend monster. Then he shot out a mystic light, which swept Su Fong and the immortal fiend monster towards Feng Wuzi and Heavenly Lord Xian Shu. Captured Su Fong? Good. You have done a great job this time. Junior brother Feng Wuzi will definitely reward you handsomely. Ha! Heaven Lord Xian Shu changed his usual stone-like appearance and laughed ferociously. After that, he took a step forward and charged directly toward Su Fong. His eyes were filled with greed and excitement, and his heart was filled with the peerless Tao artifact in Su Fong's possession. As for the fiend god monster and the gold-robed sword servant, he didn't take them seriously at all. A hint of confusion flashed through Feng Wuzi's eyes, and then he shouted, "Senior brother Xian Shu, be careful. There's a trap." As expected of a peerless genius of the heavenly mandate Haozong sect, he actually sensed the abnormality on the golden-robed sword slave and immediately saw through Su Fong's scheme. Heavenly Lord Xian Shu was stunned. At this moment, the seal on Su Fong's body was broken. Chi. Su Fong's body flickered with a large amount of dazzling golden electric currents. His muscles and bones began to grow in reverse, and in an instant, he became over 200 feet tall, looking like a majestic god of war. Giant diamond body. Clang! His arms shook, and he slapped out 2 giant golden palm prints in the air. With a terrifying divine power that could shatter the sky, they crushed towards Heavenly Lord Xian Shu. After reaching the 4th transformation of the 9 suns, 9 transformations, Su Fong activated the giant diamond body. Not only did it become extremely powerful, but its speed was also completed in a flash. Heavenly Lord Xian Shu was a peak immortal emperor after all, and his reaction wasn't slow. After a short moment of shock, he immediately activated his divine power, and his body turned into stone. A strange petrification power spread out, forming a defense. Who knew that the second primordial spirit would shoot out from between the golden-robed sword slave's eyebrows and hit the back of Heavenly Lord Xian Shu's head? Heavenly Lord Xian Shu's divine aperture ocean was violently attacked by the divine power of the primordial spirit, and his defense was almost shattered. Bang bang! The 2 golden palm prints formed by the Herculean divine palm hit Heavenly Lord Xian Shu one after another, and sent him flying like a fly. Due to the primordial spirit attack, Heavenly Lord Xian Shu's defensive divine power was also affected, and it was shattered by the first palm print. Then, his physical body was hit by the second palm print, which contained terrifying divine power. It immediately shattered his physical defense, and his physical body was severely injured. His bones cracked and shattered, and he spat out a mouthful of blood along with pieces of his internal organs. His aura immediately weakened. His old injuries hadn't healed, and now it was one disaster after another. Heavenly Lord Xian Shu couldn't maintain his peak level of the 9 Tao Saint Immortal Realm anymore, and his cultivation level dropped rapidly. After the second primordial spirit attacked Heavenly Lord Xian Shu's divine aperture ocean, it returned to the immortal demon monster's physical body, stepped out, and punched again. Before Heavenly Lord Xian Shu could stabilize himself, he was severely injured and couldn't activate any divine power. The immortal demon monster's fist landed on his heart, shattering it. His body flew out like a kite with a string. From Su Fong's sudden attack to Heavenly Lord Xian Shu being severely injured and dying, it only took a breath's time. Su Fong and the immortal demon monster's close cooperation was flawless. In such a short time, Feng Wuzi didn't have time to save him. Seeing Heavenly Lord Xian Shu on the verge of death, Feng Wuzi let out an earth-shattering roar. "How dare you injure my senior brother? I'll turn you into ashes." Then, he formed a seal, and an aura burst out, forming a shocking sword light. It was like the sword of heaven, slashing towards Su Fong. The only remaining golden-robed sword slave also took out a peak supreme-grade flying sword and attacked Su Fong. "You should think about your own life first." Su Fong sneered disdainfully. The immortal demon monster used the yin-yang immortal demon scissors, which collided with Feng Wuzi's sword light, causing a huge explosion. The entire ascension pool shook, and countless enchantments were shattered. Su Fong withdrew from the giant Vajra body state, took out the Xianming Thunder Archive, and used the Thunder of Destiny to activate the Peerless Tao artifact. When they sensed the ethereal and misty energy that locked onto fate and the world-shocking lightning element divine might that erupted from the Netherism lightning scroll, the expression of the golden-robed sword servant instantly went grim, and he revealed an expression of terror and despair as he turned around and intended to tear through the sky and flee. Crack! Lightning struck out rapidly, and the dazzling white lightning exploded like the sun, blocking out all light. The natural laws of heaven and earth in the Ascension Pool were shattered by the terrifying divine power of the Xianming Thunder Archive. The golden-robed sword slave was shattered along with the space around it, turning into ashes. A huge black hole formed in the collapsed space, spreading rapidly in all directions like the mouth of a monster. The power of the Xianming Thunder Archive was just that, domineering and terrifying. Feng Wuzi and the immortal demon monster were also affected. They had to stop fighting and use their divine power to protect themselves. Seeing the power of the Xianming Thunder Archive, Feng Wuzi's eyes were filled with shock and even extreme fear. What he didn't know was that Su Fong could already use more than 60% of the Xianming Thunder Archive's power. He had only used 40% of the Xianming Thunder Archive's power to kill this ninth Tao Saint Immortal Expert. If Su Fong didn't care about the price and used all his strength to activate the Xianming Thunder Archive, he was confident that he could kill Feng Wuzi. However, the price would be too great. After using the Xianming Thunder Archive, Su Fong had used up about a tenth of his lifespan, and he looked like he was 25 or 26 years old. Such a consumption was completely within his acceptable range. The 5 minor worlds were in a state of shock. Since the world barrier had been breached, everyone in the 5 minor worlds thought that they wouldn't be able to escape death this time, and all of them fell into despair. Su Fong's sudden appearance and killing of a peak immortal emperor expert in a split second caused everyone to be unable to react. Now that he had used the Xianming Thunder Archive to kill a 9th Tao Saint Immortal Expert, everyone was shocked and surprised. Su Fong said majestically in the direction of the 5 minor worlds, "Undead Lord, why haven't you made your move yet? Are you waiting for me to settle the score with you after autumn?" The Undead Lord had planned to take the opportunity to slip away, but when he saw Su Fong and the immortal demon monster displaying such terrifying strength, he completely extinguished that thought. He flew out of the world barrier, unleashed his aura, and joined forces with the immortal demon monster to attack Feng Wuzi. Su Fong kept the half-dead heavenly lord of Xian Shu and the golden-robed sword slave's corpses into the crucible transformation world within his body. He then flew to the minor worlds and struck with the demon sealing emperor's heavenly seal. At the same time, he activated the power of the world seed to restore the shattered world barrier. "Master is mighty." The Vermilion Emperor was the first to shout excitedly. "Master is mighty. The experts, Big Goblin, and hundreds of thousands of soldiers under him all roared together like a tsunami. Only then did the cultivators and civilians in the minor worlds come to their senses. They immediately rose from despair to the peak of excitement. Loud cheers filled the air. Some people fainted immediately due to excessive excitement after being nervous for a long time. Fairy Xuanxin flew to Su Fang's side and smiled. All her worries turned into nothingness. Looking at the haggard Fairy Xuanxin, Su Fang's heart ached, and he held her hand. Over there, the world-shaking battle had already shown a one-sided situation. The undead lord was the strongest person of the evil path in the past. He was a peerless figure who had reached the peak of the minor worlds. Although he was resurrected many years after his death with the help of the changes in heaven and earth, his cultivation base had dropped, and his strength was no longer what it used to be. However, his mastery of nature and the Tao of death was still there. With his current strength at the peak of the 9th Tao, sane immortal realm, he completely suppressed Feng Wuzi. After the immortal fiend monster fused with a portion of the heavenly spirit root's life force, its strength had transformed again. It was close to the peak of the 9th Tao, saint immortal realm. Coupled with its powerful physical body and the strange power of immortal fiend fusion, its combat strength was no weaker than the undead lord's. Under the combined attacks of the immortal fiend monster and the undead lord, Feng Wuzi no longer had the peerless demeanor of the Heaven's Mandate, Hao Tsang sect. He retreated step by step and struggled to hold on with all his strength. Boom! Feng Wuzi's defensive aura field was first shattered by the immortal fiend monster's punch. The power of immortal fiend fusion caused his true chi to be unable to circulate smoothly. Then, the undead lord struck his shoulder with a finger imbued with the law of death. Half of his body was covered in a layer of gray, and his body was continuously corroded by the death chi and the law of death contained in the death chi. This peerless genius of the Heaven's Mandate, Hao Tsang sect, was on the verge of serious injury. Feng Wuzi was shocked and furious. Stop! Su Fang, I am a special disciple of the Heaven's Mandate, Hao Tsang sect. My master is a peerless immortal supremacy. If you dare to kill me, my master and the entire Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect will never let you off. Su Fang sneered. You and Heavenly Lord Xian Shu came aggressively to kill me, but I can't kill you. Is this the logic of the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect? The Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect represents the will of the Heavenly Tao. It controls Hao Tsang and leads the immortal Tao. Who dares to go against it? You can only be a tyrant in this desolate, immortal domain. Offending the Heaven's Mandate, Hao Tsang sect, is naturally deserving of death. However, with the strength you've displayed now, you have the right to receive my recognition and be allowed to become the overlord of this immortal domain. That should do, right? Even in such a situation, Feng Wuzi was still extremely arrogant and domineering. I, Su Fang, do not need your recognition, much less the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect's recognition. Kill him. Su Fang's voice was filled with dominance and cold, killing intent. At this moment, an ethereal voice suddenly sounded in the ascension pool. Feng Wuzi, you can't kill him. The blood jade in Luo Zai's body suddenly warned loudly. The one coming is a peerless immortal supremacy. Be careful. Download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 14-15. While the ethereal voice was still echoing in the ascension pool, a ray of light appeared above the ascension pool. The mysterious ray of light not only blocked the vision of others, but also carried the aura of the heavenly Tao, as if it was not supposed to appear in the great world, but came from the myriad of worlds. A venerable immortal, a supreme who stood at the peak of the great world. Su Fang had seen venerable Tsang Huan, who was almost possessed by venerable ancient Ming. He had also communicated with a venerable through the hidden path demonic mirror. However, it was his first time meeting a venerable immortal. Unfortunately, this venerable immortal was covered by the mysterious ray of light, so he could not see his face clearly. Buzz, the divine life, shrinking technique, suddenly sensed the person in the ray of light. The Tao runes of destiny flashed in the divine aperture ocean and condensed into the figure of a woman. Zhang Ruoyan. Zhang Ruoyan. It's Zhang Ruoyan. When did she ascend to the great world and walk together with the supreme venerable immortal? Su Fong was shocked. He did not expect to sense Zhang Ruoyan's aura of destiny in the ascension pool. What was even more surprising was that Zhang Ruoyan walked together with a peerless figure who stood at the peak of the great world. Su Fong became nervous and hurriedly sent a voice transmission to summon the undead king and the monster back to his side. In the face of a terrifying venerable immortal, a peak immortal emperor was like an ant equals n_1. Second primordial spirit, search heavenly lord Xian Shu's soul. Su Fong was afraid that things would change, so he put the monster back into the crucible transformation world and asked his second primordial spirit to search heavenly lord Xian Shu's memory and find the whereabouts of the blood jade. This was the most important thing. With the second primordial spirit's strength, it could suppress the primordial spirit of a peak immortal emperor, but it could not control the mind. Otherwise, it would be too easy. However, Heavenly Lord Xian Shu only had half of his life left, so it was easy for the second primordial spirit to search his soul. As long as it could find the whereabouts of the blood jade, nothing else mattered. Heavenly Fate Bright Sex Special Disciple Feng Wuzi greets Venerable Ni Xia and junior sister Zhang Ruoyan. Feng Wuzi, who had escaped a calamity, was both surprised and delighted. He cupped his fists and bowed towards the light. Other than reverence, there was also undisguised adoration in his eyes as he looked at the light. You are the disciple of the Qi Sword Immortal Venerable, right? This sovereign can sense the aura of that old fellow from your body. A faintly discernible voice rang out from within the multicolored light. It was like the heavenly Tao, making people feel reverence and unfathomable. Feng Wuzi replied respectfully, I am indeed Qi Sword Immortal Venerable's disciple. I didn't expect the special disciples of the heavenly mandate Hao Song sect to be so useless. They were almost killed in the desolate immortal realm, the Ni Xia Immortal Venerable said. Feng Wuzi's face turned red. Su Fong secretly used his great perfection ability to sense the light, and in the next moment, he fell into incomparable shock again. Within the multicolored light, there was an aura of nothingness. Even with Su Fong's great perfection ability, it was almost impossible to sense it. This person should be the Ni Xia Immortal Venerable that Feng Wuzi mentioned. Although immortal venerables were powerful, Su Fong had seen a few of them. The immortal demon monster beside him was a fusion of an immortal venerable and a demon venerable. The Ni Xia Immortal Venerable was not enough to make Su Fong so surprised. Within the multicolored light, there was another aura. It was undoubtedly Zhang Ruoyan. What shocked Su Fong was that Zhang Ruoyan was already in the Six Paths realm of the World Immortal Realm. Not only that, there was also an aura on her that Su Fong found very familiar. Xianjia's Gate. Su Fong suddenly realized that the Xianjia's Gate had fallen into Zhang Ruoyan's hands and had been fused with by her. The Tribulation Taker was indeed extraordinary, very extraordinary. At this moment, Zhang Ruoyan's excited voice rang out from within the multicolored light. Master, I have found an old friend. Can you let me meet him? Go. There was finally a trace of emotion in the Ni Xia Immortal Venerable's voice. It was a kind of doting. Su Fong. A woman flew out from the multicolored light. Who else could it be but Zhang Ruoyan? Hello, Zhang Ruoyan. Su Fong looked at Zhang Ruoyan and felt a surge of emotion in his heart. The naive girl of the twin immortal sect had grown into an expert and even obtained the Xianjia's Gate. Back then, the Xianjia's Gate had caused countless storms in the small world and even attracted many immortals from the macro world to come and snatch it. Instead, the Xianjia's Gate had killed many immortals. No one, not even Su Fong himself, had expected that it would fall into Zhang Ruoyan's hands. Green Feather King had once said that the future of the two tribulation takers, Li Haojie and Zhang Ruoyan, was limitless. He did not expect that Zhang Ruoyan had not only obtained a recognition of the Xianjia's Gate, but also became a disciple of a group of immortal venerable experts. In the future, she would definitely be a peerless figure whose name would shake the macro world. Su Fong, I really didn't expect that not only did you ascend to the macro world, but you also became the overlord of an immortal domain. Zhang Riyun's cheeks were flushed, and she looked very excited. When did you ascend to the macro world? Why didn't you ascend to this immortal domain? Su Fong was overjoyed to meet an old friend again. Why don't you ask how I escaped when the twin immortal sect was also breached? Back then, senior sister and I were captured by the great demon king and almost lost our lives. Zhang Riyun chattered, making Su Fong suddenly see the stubborn, persistent, and somewhat shy little girl from back then. Su Fong said with a smile, "You are a tribulation taker who has absorbed the power of heaven and earth. You were able to achieve a miracle that everyone thought was impossible. Naturally, you turned misfortune into blessing. How did you ascend to the macro world, and how did you go to other immortal domains?" Senior sister and I were captured by the great demon king and brought into the Xinjia Gate. We couldn't even do it. I don't know how, but we were sucked into the immortal formation by the Xinjia Gate. Then, the Xinjia Gate recognized us as its master. Then, the Xinjia Gate broke through the Zhuotian realm's world barrier and ascended to the macro world. Later, I became a disciple of the gluttonous immortal sect. Then, I was discovered by Master and I, Xia, immortal venerable, and became her disciple. This time, I came to this immortal domain because I heard that because of the heaven and earth changes, almost all the micro worlds were destroyed. So, I begged Master to come back and take a look. Su Fong looked at the 5 micro worlds below and sighed. There are only 5 micro worlds left in the star domain we are in. The other micro worlds have all become wastelands. Zhang Riyun was silent. Zhang Riyun landed on Xuanxin. In front of Fairy Xian Exant, she felt a faint sense of inferiority. Xuanxin smiled. "I am Su Fong's Taoist companion. My name is Xuanxin." "Taoist companion?" Zhang Riyun's eyes flashed with a trace of undetectable disappointment. Then, she saw Su Fong's Ice Phoenix true form and could not help but be surprised. "Sister Xuanxin, you are not simple." She actually managed to cultivate the real body of the Ice Phoenix. She's the only one in the macro world. Extraordinary, truly extraordinary. N.I. Xia, immortal venerable's surprised voice came from a multicolored light above the ascension pool. Xuanxin bowed to N.I. Xia, immortal venerable. "Xuanxin greets senior." A majestic voice came from the light. "I have a good friend who also cultivates the ice divine ability. She has been unable to find a suitable successor. Why don't I take you to that good friend and let her accept you as her disciple? Are you willing?" Everyone was shocked and envious. Su Fong could not help but be surprised. N.I. Xia, immortal venerable's good friend, must also be a venerable immortal. If Xuanxin could become the disciple of such a strong person, it would be a great opportunity for her. However, this matter needed to be carefully considered. Who knew what kind of character the good friend N.I. Xia, immortal venerable mentioned was? Xuanxin also hesitated. However, N.I. Xia, venerable immortal went on to say, "But my good friend has always hated men. If she knows that you have a Taoist companion, she will definitely not be happy. You must first cut off the feelings between you and your Taoist companion. Then you are qualified to be her disciple." Xuanxin no longer hesitated and said decisively, "Thank you for your kindness, senior. Xuanxin is willing to spend the rest of my life with Su Fong. Let's forget about becoming her disciple." Zhang Riyun's eyes were filled with envy. "That's a pity." N.I. Xia, immortal venerable sighed and did not insist. Then a divine light came out of the light and fell on Su Fong. N.I. Xia, immortal venerable's voice became majestic and cold. "You even dared to kill a disciple of the Tianming Haotsong sect. You are really bold." Su Fong raised his eyebrows. "Lord of Heaven Xian Shu and Feng Wuzi wanted to kill me. I couldn't just let them kill me. I had no choice but to resist. You were born with a backbone. But in the great world, the law of the jungle is followed. Although you are extraordinary, you are like a lowly ant compared to the Tianming Haotsong sect. In the end, you can't escape the fate of being crushed. There was a moment of silence. Su Fong slowly said, "In my hometown, there's a purple cloud mountain. The mountain peak is majestic and pierces through the sky. There are only two kinds of living beings that are capable of ascending to the summit of the mountain peak. One is the goshawk that soars through the clouds. The other is the lowly and insignificant ant in the eyes of the people of the world. Who dares to laugh at the lowly and insignificant ant? I, Su Fong, have no family or background. I can't be the goshawk that was born to soar in the sky. I can only be the insignificant ant, but..." After a pause, Su Fong continued with a firm tone. "As long as I keep climbing, one day, I will be able to reach the top and look down on the earth." There was silence in the ascension pool. His calm words carried incomparable persistence and strong self-confidence, causing everyone to be incomparably shocked and speechless for a moment. Xuanqing Fairy's cold and clear eyes revealed a proud look. "This is my Taoist companion. Ambition, boldness, persistence, fearlessness, and supreme luck. How many people in the great world can compare to him?" Zhang Ruiyan looked at Su Fong with eyes full of admiration and deep admiration. The dead lord was also shocked. This child is the same as Huang Quan. He has great boldness and has luck that Huang Quan doesn't have. If the evil god hadn't appeared, he would definitely be a top figure in the great world, surpassing Huang Quan in the past. Feng Wuzi sneered disdainfully and said, "An ant will always be an ant. So what if you can climb to the top of the mountain? The goshawk can blow you off the top of the mountain with a slight flap of its wings and shatter your bones." Su Fong sneered, "It's a pity that you're not that goshawk, but an arrogant sparrow. You only know how to chirp under the eaves. Now, even your life is in the hands of an ant like me." Feng Wuzi was furious. Flames of anger burned in his eyes. The Xia celestial sovereign's ethereal voice sounded again. "As expected, the younger generation will surpass us in time. You surprised me quite a bit. I didn't expect that in this desolate, immortal realm, there would be not only a peerless beauty like Ruiyun, but also a peerless genius like you. Su Fong, I have an old relationship with Feng Wuzi's master. I can't watch him die. For my sake, can you let him go this time?" The Xia celestial sovereign continued. Her tone was no longer as high and mighty as before. Instead, it was as if she was talking to a celestial sovereign of the same level. Equals _ our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1416. Su Fong fell into deep thought. Since the Xia celestial venerable had spoken, Feng Wuzi naturally could not be killed. Although the Xia celestial venerable spoke politely, if she really wanted to kill Feng Wuzi, she would definitely not hesitate to stop her. At this time, Lord of Heaven Xian Shu had been suppressed, so it did not matter whether Feng Wuzi was killed or not. However, it was definitely not Su Fong's character to let him go so easily. Su Fong made up his mind and said, "Since the Xia celestial venerable has spoken, how can I not agree? However, and my 5 small worlds were almost destroyed by Feng Wuzi. If he does not pay a price, it will not be justified. His life is still worth some money." The Tianming Haotsong sect is known as the leader of the immortal Tao and the #1 force in the great world. I believe they will not be stingy with the money to buy his life. Lowly ant, you are courting death. Feng Wuzi's eyes were spewing flames of anger. As a special disciple of the Tianming Haotsong sect, he was highly sought after in the sect. No matter where he went, he was high and mighty. At this time, he was being humiliated by a world immortal in this desolate immortal realm. How could Feng Wuzi not be angry? The Xia celestial venerable also did not expect Su Fong to ask for money to buy his life. She was startled and then said faintly, "It is only right to use money to buy your life. What do you want?" Zhang Ruiyun's eyes widened in surprise. Su Fong's glorious image in her mind immediately changed. Su Fong said faintly, 10,000 divine essence pills will do." Feng Wuzi shouted coldly, "Su Fong, Do you think the Divine Essence Pill is a powerful pill sold in the mortal world? The Divine Essence Pill is a divine item in all the realms. Even in the macro world, only peerless supremes who are half a step away from becoming gods can refine it. You're asking for 10,000 pills right off the bat. How arrogant. Even my master doesn't have that many Divine Essence Pills. At most, I have 100 pills. Take it if you want, or kill me if you don't. 100 pills it is. Lord Feng Wuxi's life is not worth much anyway, Su Feng said faintly. Feng Wuxi was so angry that his face turned red, and he almost vomited blood. He threw a storage ring to Su Feng. Su Feng peeled off a wisp of his consciousness and entered the storage ring. Indeed, there were 100 Divine Essence Pills in the storage ring space. Su Feng was overjoyed. With these 100 Divine Essence Pills, not only his own strength, but also the strength of his immortal fiend monsters and his many subordinates would undergo a great transformation. Compared to such a precious Divine Essence Pill, what was Feng Wuxi's life? Feng Wuxi shouted angrily, and Senior Brother Xianshu, release him immediately. Lord of Heaven Xianshu? Su Feng said coldly. Lord of Heaven Xianshu tried to kill me several times. If I didn't have life-saving methods, I would have died in his hands. He and I are mortal enemies, so how can I let him go and leave behind future troubles for myself? And Xia Immortal Venerable said, Su Feng, don't be unforgiving. The Tianming Haotsong sect is not something you can offend. Let him go. Zhang Riyun also hurriedly sent a voice transmission to Su Feng. The Tianming Haotsong sect is extremely powerful. Even my master doesn't dare to offend them easily. Don't make a mortal enemy of them. At this moment, Luo's voice suddenly came from the blood jade in his body. Su Feng, when it's time to be patient, you still have to be patient. Let Lord of Heaven Xianshu go. With your current overall strength, it's not enough to fight against a giant like the Tianming Haotsong sect. Anyway, you didn't lose out this time. Instead, you gain a lot. It's really unwise to make a strong enemy like the Tianming Haotsong sect. What you need now is space and time to grow. Tianming Haotsong sect. I can only endure this for now. However, I must get the Blood Jade's whereabouts. Su Feng was very unwilling. Looking at the 5 small worlds behind him, as well as Xuanxin Fairy and the many experts under him, he could only endure this. He secretly sent a voice transmission to his second primordial spirit. Second primordial spirit. Have you searched Lord of Heaven Xianshu's soul? The second primordial spirit replied, I've already stripped his memories. However, this person's primordial spirit consciousness was greatly damaged when the memories were forcefully stripped. His consciousness is blurry. Apart from his aura, there's not much difference between him and a corpse. It's okay, as long as he's still alive. Looking at Feng Wuxi, Su Feng said in a majestic voice, It's not impossible to release Lord of Heaven Xianshu. However, I need a guarantee from the Tianming Haotsong sect. From now on, no disciple of the Tianming Haotsong sect will step into this immortal realm for 10,000 years. You dare to threaten the Tianming Haotsong sect? Arrogant, arrogant. Feng Wuxi shouted coldly. I released Lord of Heaven Xianshu, and immediately after, the Tianming Haotsong sect sent experts to kill me. Do you think I, Su Feng, am an idiot? If you can't promise this on behalf of the Tianming Haotsong sect, not only Lord of Heaven Xianshu, even you will not be able to leave this immortal realm. Su Feng sneered. His face was filled with cold, killing intent, and he was extremely domineering. You. Feng Wuxi was extremely furious, but he was speechless. Just as Su Feng said, he was planning to immediately invite the peerless experts in the sect to come to this immortal realm after leaving this immortal realm and wipe out Su Feng and his forces. Zhang Rin suddenly said, Senior Brother Feng Wuxi, are you thinking of using the sect's power to take revenge? If that's really the case, even I have underestimated you. Feng Wuxi's handsome face immediately turned red, and he flatly denied, I, Feng Wuxi, am a special disciple of the Tianming Haotsong sect. If I want to take revenge, Why would I need to use the sex power? Zhang Ruiyun said, 10,000 years will pass in the blink of an eye. You can't even wait for this little bit of time. Are you afraid that you won't be able to defeat Su Fong after 10,000 years? Why would I be afraid of him? Feng Wuzi was immediately embarrassed by Zhang Ruiyun's provocation. Then he said decisively, Su Fong, I promise you that no disciple of the Tianming Haotsong sect will take half a step into this immortal realm within 10,000 years. After 10,000 years, I will personally come and take your head. I want to see how far you can grow in 10,000 years. At this time, the Nixia Celestial Venerable said, That's good. I will be a witness. If you go back on your words, I will go directly to the Qi Sword Celestial Venerable. Su Fong sent a voice transmission to Zhang Ruiyun. Thank you. Zhang Ruiyun responded, You have helped me many times in the small world. This time, I will help you a little. What's the big deal? The Tianming Haotsong sect is the #1 force of the immortal Tao. This Feng Wuzi is a peerless genius of the Tianming Haotsong sect. Are you confident that you can deal with him after 10,000 years? Su Fong smiled proudly. I am confident that I can kill him now with the help of a Tao artifact. After 10,000 years, will he be worthy of fighting me? He released the half-dead heavenly Lord Xian Shu from the crucible transformation and threw him directly to Feng Wuzi. Seeing heavenly Lord Xian Shu's appearance, Feng Wuzi shouted coldly, Su Fong, how dare you use soul-searching on senior brother Xian Shu? Su Fong said coldly, he wants to kill me. Do I have to treat him as a guest of honor? If you didn't agree quickly, he would have turned into a pool of blood and been devoured by me. Feng Wuzi gnashed his teeth and spoke in a ghastly tone. Good. What a vicious, merciless Su Fong. 10,000 years from now, I'll definitely turn this immortal region into a wasteland to avenge senior brother Xian Shu. I will be waiting for you after 10,000 years. Please go, I won't see you off. Su Fong smiled indifferently. Feng Wuzi shot out a Xian Guang and took heavenly Lord Xian Shu into his body from his palm. Then, he glanced at Su Fong fiercely before flying away. And I, Xia Immortal Venerable, said, Su Fong, this immortal domain is just a corner of the great world. It is too desolate to accommodate a peerless genius like you. There's a wider world outside. If there is a chance, I hope to see you in other immortal domains. Then, she said to Zhang Ruiyun, let's go. Su Fong, take care. I hope to see you again in the future, Zhang Ruiyun said to Su Fong. Then, she glanced at Xuanxin and flew into the light. The light flickered and disappeared into the ascension pool. A crisis was finally resolved, just like that. From now on, there was no power in this immortal domain that could threaten Su Fong. The powerhouses under Su Fong, as well as the cultivators and people of the small world, all felt like they had survived a disaster. They admired Su Fong to the point of prostrating themselves before him. This time, bringing the small world into the great world could be said to be full of twists and turns, but it was finally completed. In the heavenly moat outside the immortal domain, there was a flash of light. Nixia Immortal Venerable and Zhang Ruiyun appeared here. Nixia Immortal Venerable's voice sounded, Ruiyun, let me ask you, do you have feelings for Su Fong? Zhang Ruiyun blushed and hurriedly explained, Master, Su Fong once saved my life in the small world. I only have gratitude for him. How can I have feelings for him? Nixia Immortal Venerable laughed softly. How can I not know what you are thinking? If I didn't see through your thoughts, how could I have the intention to help him? You have good taste. Only such a peerless genius is worthy of my disciple. Zhang Ruiyun's face turned even redder. However, in the next moment, the look in her eyes dimmed. Su Fong already has a Tao companion, and that woman is so extraordinary. So what? I have a way to solve this matter. As long as it's a man you like, I will get him back for you. Zhang Ruiyun was dumbfounded and stammered. Master, please don't do anything rash. I know what I'm doing. The light swirled and disappeared into nothingness. Heavenly Tao, Immortal Domain, Royal City. This time I failed to kill Su Fong. Instead, he injured my primordial spirit. How hateful! Lord of Heaven, Xian Shu gritted his teeth. His anger could burn the sky. It turned out that when Lord of Heaven Xian Shu left the heavenly Tao immortal domain, he deliberately left a clone to cultivate and recover from the injuries in the Battle of the Star Palace. He didn't expect it to save his life. However, his original body used a forbidden technique to forcibly restore his cultivation to the peak of the Nine Paths Saint immortal realm. He was seriously injured and almost died. Then, because his memory was stripped, his primordial spirit was injured. Even if he recovered in the future, it would be impossible for him to reach the peak of the Nine Paths Saint immortal realm. As a peak immortal emperor expert, how could he not be angry and resentful when he suffered such a heavy loss in this remote immortal domain? Feng Wuxi comforted him. Senior brother, don't worry about anything. When we return to the sect, I will ask Master to help you recover your strength. As for Su Feng, I will come back with you 10,000 years later. We will definitely crush his bones and scatter his ashes. Now, we should leave this immortal domain as soon as possible. Otherwise, Su Feng won't let you go and kill his way to the heavenly Tao immortal domain. At that time, it will be troublesome to escape. Lord of Heaven Xian Shu said bitterly, Senior brother, I am so unwilling. So what if he was unwilling? Lord of Heaven Xian Shu immediately summoned Immortal Emperor Tianong and the higher-ups of the heavenly Tao immortal domain. He immediately turned into a peerless figure of the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect and announced his decision to leave this immortal domain. He also asked Immortal Emperor Tianong and Huang Lingyao to leave together. The heavenly Tao immortal domain is at the end of the road. Immortal Emperor Tianong naturally saw that Lord of Heaven Xian Shu and Feng Wuxi had suffered a crushing defeat this time. After being shocked, he completely fell into despair. =our download address. Mobile reading, bibliography. Chapter 1417. In one night, Immortal Emperor Tianong aged 50 years, like a dying old man. He no longer had the power and dominance of the previous lord of the immortal realm. The next morning, he called Long Xiaojun. I've decided to stay and live with the immortal realm. You and Huang Lingyao will go to the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect with Lord of Heaven Xian Shu. Su Feng has the power of an overlord now. Even Lord of Heaven Xian Shu and Feng Wuxi were defeated by him. Father, how can you survive if you stay in the immortal realm? Long Xiaojun was shocked and tried to persuade him. I've dominated this immortal realm for millions of years. I only have one strong enemy, Tranquility Emperor. But now I've fallen. Even if I escape to the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect, what's the point of living like a stray dog? I'm tired. I don't want to run anymore. Immortal Emperor Tianong said lightly, like a hero past his prime. After a pause, Immortal Emperor Tianong's turbid eyes showed fear. I have something that Su Feng must get. If I escape to the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect, I'm afraid even you can't escape from Su Feng. So I can't leave. Long Xiaojun was in disbelief. How is that possible? No matter how powerful Su Feng is, he won't dare to go to the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect. Immortal Emperor Tianong shook his head and sighed. Su Feng is no match for the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect now. But what will happen in 1,000,000 years? It only took him 1,000 years to ascend to the immortal realm from Small World. If he has another 1,000,000 years, no, even 100,000 years, I'm afraid the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect. This person has great luck that ordinary people can't match. He's talented, cunning, and resourceful. He'll definitely be a great enemy of the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect in the future. Long Xiaojun was so shocked that he couldn't speak for a long time. Not being able to kill Su Feng before he matured was the biggest mistake in my life. It was because of this mistake that the entire heavenly Tao immortal realm was destroyed. Remember your father's words. In the future, if you encounter Su Feng, you must stay as far away as possible. You must not make an enemy out of him. And even more, do not attempt to avenge me. Do you remember? Immortal Emperor Tianong stared at Long Xiaojun and emphasized each word. Yes, father. Long Xiaojun knelt on the ground, sobbing. In the ascension pool, Su Fong once again stabilized the world barriers of the five small worlds. At the same time, he also pacified the cultivators and common people in the small worlds. The exports and armies under his command also rested and reorganized. After settling down, let's see where Shuiyu is in Lord of Heaven Xian Shu's memories. Su Fong summoned his second primordial spirit and fused it with his original primordial spirit. He obtained the memories that were stripped from heavenly monarch Xian Shu. Luo, who was in the blood-red cage, also became nervous. A moment later, so that's how it is. This is going to be troublesome. Su Fong suddenly opened his eyes and raised his eyebrows. Heavenly monarch Xian Shu had indeed obtained a piece of blood jade before. Moreover, the process of obtaining the blood jade wasn't complicated. A disciple of heavenly monarch Xian Shu had accidentally barged into an endless abyss of dark space-time and obtained a piece of blood jade by chance. Due to the powerful life energy contained in the blood jade, this disciple felt as if he had obtained a supreme treasure. However, he couldn't fuse with it no matter how hard he tried. In the end, he treated the blood jade as a supreme treasure and gave it to heavenly monarch Xian Shu. Only a cultivator with a perfected physical body like Su Fong could fuse with the blood jade. Although heavenly monarch Xian Shu's strength had reached the peak of the ninth Tao Saint Immortal Realm, he was still unable to fuse with the blood jade, let alone figure out the secrets of the blood jade. Due to that disciple accidentally leaking the information, the matter of the blood jade somehow reached the ears of a higher-up of the heavenly mandate Hao Tsong sect called Venerable Xianlin. He stepped forward and forcefully took the blood jade away from heavenly monarch Xian Shu. Just like that, it fell into Venerable Xuanlin's hands. From the memories of heavenly monarch Xian Shu, Su Fong had a more comprehensive understanding of the powerful forces of the heavenly mandate Hao Tsong sect. Only then did he understand how terrifying the overall strength of the number one faction of the immortal Tao that even a peerless figure like Enai Xia, Immortal Venerable, was afraid of was. A powerhouse at the peak of the ninth Tao, Saint Immortal Realm, like Feng Wuzi, was only a special disciple in the heavenly mandate Hao Tsong sect. Then, how terrifying were the little elder, great elder, and sect master in the sect. They were probably not far from the legendary gods. As a higher-up of the sect, not only did Venerable Xianlin hold high position, but his strength was also so powerful that even heavenly monarch Xian Shu had to look up to him and worship him. He was definitely someone with divine abilities and strength. How could it be easy to obtain the blood jade from him? Su Fong couldn't help but feel dejected and his heart palpitated. At this moment, Luo Feng reprimanded. When you first arrived in the small world, your strength and status were low. You learned that the purple cloud Dharma spirit had fallen into the hands of immortal Emperor Tianong. At that time, compared to immortal Emperor Tianong, one was undoubtedly in the sky, while the other was on the ground. What's the situation now? It's only been 1,000 years, and immortal Emperor Tianong has already been trampled under your feet. At this moment, compared to Venerable Xianlin, the gap between you and immortal Emperor Tianong is like the gap between you and immortal Emperor Tianong back then. Why don't you have confidence? Su Fong let out a long breath and calmed his breathing. He said, Luo, you're right. I really shouldn't have such thoughts of being afraid of the strong. Luo's voice softened. Even if I can't obtain the blood jade, it doesn't matter. I was imprisoned in the blood jade and spent countless years alone, living a life worse than death. To be able to meet you in this large world, have you to talk to me, and at the same time, be able to witness a peerless genius walking from a lowly position to the peak, I'm already very satisfied. Su Fong reignited his confidence and said firmly, Luo, don't worry. Sooner or later, I will get that blood jade from Venerable Xianlin. Not only that blood jade, but I will also gather all the blood jades for you, as well as your physical body, allowing you to regain your freedom. Luo Yu said, in the past, I didn't even dare to think about this. After witnessing your transformation time and time again, I already believe that you might really be able to do it. I'm looking forward to this day. Work hard, for yourself and for me, Su Fong was about to end this exchange with Luo when Luo suddenly said, "That Zhang Riyun is quite interested in you. Moreover, this woman is quite extraordinary. In the future, she will definitely be a peerless figure standing at the peak of the large world. Why don't you take her in now?" Cough, cough. Su Fong almost choked on Luo's words. "Luo, you're getting more and more indecent. There are at least 1,000,000 women who admire me in this immortal realm. Should I take them all in?" This time, it was Luo's turn to be speechless. He temporarily put aside the matter of the blood jade. Next, while his subordinates were recovering, Su Fong ordered his second essence spirit to return to the heavenly road with the divine might of his essence spirit that could shuttle through barriers and the void. Then he entered the ascension pools that led to different large worlds to search for the heavenly spirit root. In the end, Su Fongdao was disappointed. The immortal demon monster spent nearly 10 years, but in the end, he still returned empty-handed. It seemed that it was just as Luo said. It was indeed lucky to be able to obtain the heavenly spirit root in the ascension pool of the immortal Ao great world. Without finding the heavenly spirit root, Su Fong didn't take it to heart. At this moment, he had 100 divine essence pills in his hands. It could be said that he was rich. In addition, with the power stripped from the heavenly spirit root, he didn't have to worry about the lack of resources for cultivation for a long time. Return to the large world. Next, it's time to deal with the heavenly Tao immortal world. His subordinates had almost recovered. Only then did Su Fong leave the ascension pool with the small world. He broke the barrier above the ascension pool and rushed straight to the large world. Immortal Ao great world. In a corner of the plain, the lingering immortal mist suddenly boiled violently like boiling water. Then, immortals and Big Goblin pulled a galaxy composed of 5 small worlds into the sky from the immortal mist. The floating rocks in the immortal mist were instantly shattered by the terrifying impact equals and _1. In the next moment, the barrier that led to the large world was also smashed by the 5 small worlds. The 5 small worlds, after going through untold hardships, were finally brought to the sky above the immortal Ao great world by Su Fong. In an instant, the divine might of the large world, spiritual chi, and world shackles surged toward the small worlds. This is the large world. Heavens, in my life, I actually have the opportunity to come to the immortal world. The many cultivators, Big Goblin, and countless people in the 5 small worlds witnessed the legendary large world. They were all collectively speechless, then burst into excited cheers, and many people couldn't help but wail. What was it like to reach the sky in a single bound? This scene was like reaching the heavens in a single step. Decades ago, they were still constantly worried that the small worlds would be destroyed in the hands of resurrected experts. At this moment, they came to the legendary large world along with the small worlds. How could they not be excited? The Vermilion Emperor laughed and said, "A bunch of country bumpkins. This is just a small plane in the immortal Ao great world, which is a very small immortal world. It's nothing at all, just like the countryside. Wait until you see the master's residence of Emperor Su, the constellation of 9 heavens, and the clear sky's myriad scroll door. That is the real prosperous large world." The Green Feather Emperor was also in a good mood. He reprimanded, "When you first came to the large world, weren't you just like them? How dare you make fun of them?" Many people who had first entered the large world with Su Fong, such as Li Haojia, the Lord of 5 Poisons, the powerful Big Goblin, and the junior commander, followed after a burst of loud laughter. Each of them was filled with emotion. Their gazes gathered on Su Fong. If it weren't for him, how could all of them be where they were today? Su Fong was also overwhelmed with emotions. Wasn't he going through so much just for this scene? Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Many immortals were attracted by the commotion. When they saw the sudden appearance of the 5 small worlds, as well as Su Fong and the peerless experts beside him, they were all so frightened that they trembled and did not dare to go forward. Let's go to Emperor Su's residence. With a wave of Su Fong's arm, his subordinates pulled the 5 small worlds into the void and headed straight for Emperor Su's residence in a grandiose manner. About 20 years later, shuttling through the various space-time and material realms of the large world, passing through many dangerous places, the five small worlds finally arrived in the void space-time outside the plane where Emperor Su's residence was located. Xian and Tian, who had already received the news, brought tens of thousands of masters from the Su Emperor's mansion, expert from the 8 macro worlds, and countless righteous cultivators led by perfected cultivator Lang Xiao. After witnessing this scene, they were extremely shocked by Su Fang's generosity. It was very easy for immortals to enter and exit a small world. However, to bring a small world into a large world, even with the strength of Emperor Ning's residence back then, it was impossible to do so. However, Su Fang managed to do it. Moreover, Su Fang brought himself into the large world at all costs. Such a move made everyone admire him greatly. Everyone thought that Su Fang was a man of affection and righteousness. Perfected Master Lang Xiao fully used his mouthpiece to publicize and embellish Su Fang's image, which instantly became extremely tall and glorious, as if he was the reincarnation of Saint. =_ our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 14:18. Whoosh! Su Fang flew out of the human sovereign world, spewing out a burst of tribulation chi. It turned out that after entering the macro world, Su Fang had merged with the power of the celestial spirit root, breaking through the realm of realm immortals and ascending to the saint immortal realm. After making some arrangements to his subordinates, Su Fang cupped his fists at Supreme Master Lang Xiao and the other experts of the 8 forces and flew to a mountain peak. He sat down cross-legged, and a great pain of being torn apart by his vital energy began to spread throughout his body. Puff! A burst of tribulation chi spewed out of his body and turned into a blazing tribulation fire. There was a burst of void energy radiating to the heaven and earth, which was sensed by the heaven and earth. Not long after, dark clouds rolled in the sky like raging waves, covering the sky and the sun. Terrifying heavenly might shrouded all directions, forming an astonishing shackle. Seeing this, Su Fang's subordinates did not find it strange. They had long been numb to Su Fang's progress. The experts from the 8 macro worlds of the immortal realm were extremely shocked. When Su Fang attacked Emperor Ning's mansion and entered the Emperor's land, he publicly ascended to the realm of realm immortals. Only a few years had passed, and now he was about to ascend to the Saint Immortal realm and become an immortal emperor. Such progress was unprecedented. When he was in the realm of realm immortals, he was already extremely powerful and could kill immortal emperors below the realm of realm immortals. Once he ascended to the Saint Immortal realm, how powerful would he be? With his own strength, he could probably kill a realm of realm immortals, not to mention the peerless experts under him. This person cannot be defied equals N_R. The experts and giants from all 8 major worlds had the same thought in their minds. Their eyes were filled with fear and reverence. Every time an immortal ascended to a new realm, he would have to go through 9 major tribulations. For ordinary immortals, it was a life and death tribulation. However, no one was worried about what would happen to Su Fang during the tribulation. The power of the 9 major tribulations could pierce through the sky, which was about the realm of realm immortals. How could it deal with Su Fang? 9th tribulation come. Su Fang flew up 3,000 meters into the air. The aura he emanated was that of an imperial emperor. As for his other true energy, devil energy, demonic energy, and fleshly body power, they were all hidden deep within him. In the sky, the tribulation clouds covered the sun and surged mightily as if doomsday had arrived. The heavenly might shackled the void for thousands of miles below. The natural power of heaven and earth also carried the divine might of the heavenly Tao that could not be blasphemed. It wanted to shackle and kill the cultivator who cultivated in defiance of the heavens. Boom! A beam of tribulation light, carrying the majesty of the heavenly way and a terrifying divine might that could destroy all things in the world, descended from the tribulation clouds and shot toward Su Fong. Emperor's fist, boundless divine power. Boom, boom. Su Fong used the Overlord Emperor's heaven-soaring art and unleashed his domineering aura. His fist collided with the beam of tribulation light. The beam of tribulation light contained the destructive power of the heavenly Tao, but it was shattered by Su Fong's fist. Even the natural shackles of heaven and earth were shattered by Su Fong's dominating divine might that was above the heavenly Tao. There were only a few people who could transcend the tribulation so easily in any world. The second tribulation, the third tribulation, all the way up to the eighth tribulation, Su Fong easily resolved it with the Overlord Emperor's heaven-soaring art. The Immortal Emperor tribulation, which was like a life and death trial for other immortals, was like a walk in the park for Su Fong. He didn't even use any powerful divine abilities. It was so easy and comfortable for him. The ninth tribulation, the last tribulation, after brewing for a while, absorbed more than half of the tribulation cloud's power and unleashed a shocking divine might of the heavenly Tao. Everything in the world trembled under the supreme divine might of the heavenly Tao. Even some ordinary immortal emperor experts were trembling, and a sense of reverence for the heavenly Tao welled up from the bottom of their hearts. Can Su Fong survive the last tribulation? It's such a terrifying tribulation. Why didn't anyone help Su Fong, and why didn't he activate his Tao artifact? Li Ziqing asked, trembling with fear. He had just come to the world. When had he ever seen such a terrifying scene? Bai Ling said with a smile, if it's an ordinary cultivator, he would naturally use his most powerful divine ability, take out his life-saving Tao artifact, and then prepare carefully. He would also need the elders of his sect to protect him. But Su Fong, you don't have to worry about this. The ninth tribulation is at most a tickle for him. Li Ziqing was dumbfounded. Such a powerful tribulation, but it's just a tickle for him. The power of the heavenly tribulation transformed into a monstrous energy that gathered into a storm that swept down from the tribulation cloud. A supreme divine might and fortune burst out from Su Fong's body. His eyes shone brightly as he said in a domineering voice, I'm an overlord. The heavenly Tao can't suppress me, so naturally it can't shackle me. My will transcends the heavens. In an instant, the divine power of the way of the heavens that shackled heaven and earth collapsed and shattered layer by layer. Su Fong was like the ruler of heaven and earth that was above the way of the heavens. No divine power or will could suppress or shackle him. In the territory of Emperor Su's residence and the 5 little worlds, everyone was in awe and submission under Su Fong's divine might. It was as though Su Fong was the ruler of life and death, and they were the subjects under Su Fong's rule. Who would dare to defy the will of a supreme being? Even some peerless celestial emperors who were above the 6 paths, sane immortal realm, had the same thought. After obtaining the power of faith from the people in Emperor Ning's residence and devouring Emperor Ning's body, Su Fong had been cultivating the tyrannical emperor's towering heaven technique all these years. He had cultivated this peerless divine ability to the extreme, and his Tao of the Emperor had almost reached perfection. At this moment, he displayed the tyrannical emperor's mantra, the most powerful divine ability of the tyrannical emperor's towering heaven technique. Break! After forming a seal, Su Fong struck out a palm print with a domineering aura that could suppress everything and bombarded the 9th tribulation. Boom! 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 The terrifying energy of the heavenly tribulation shattered layer by layer. After a series of explosions, it finally shattered into nothingness and dissipated between heaven and earth. Su Fong calmly flew to the top of the mountain. At this moment, the gloomy energy in the tribulation cloud disappeared. Instead, it emitted a ray of auspicious light that descended from the sky with a peaceful aura and shrouded Su Fong. With the baptism power of the heavenly tribulation, Su Fong's body began to shatter and impact. Layers of impurities seeped out from the depths of his body. After half a day, everything in heaven and earth returned to normal. Su Fong's advancement had also ended. Sensing his entire body, Su Fong immediately felt that he had undergone a great transformation. Like a butterfly breaking out of its cocoon, his meridians, golden core origin, divine aperture ocean, and young immortal were all transforming continuously. The Tao marks in his body and the aura emitted were all of the saint immortal realm. Without deliberately activating the divine power of the world, Su Fong could sense the connection between heaven and earth. He was no longer like a realm immortal who only needed to communicate with heaven and earth and borrow energy from stars. Instead, he had reached a higher level. He could control heaven and earth and use divine abilities to create his own space. This was the divine ability of a Saint Immortal Realm immortal. Saint Immortal Realm. I've also become an immortal emperor. Su Fong was extremely excited. His eyes shone with a hale and hearty luster. After cultivating for more than 2,000 years, he had gone from a trash who could not cultivate to an immortal emperor who stood proudly in the great world. The various dangers he had experienced were all flowing in his mind. For a moment, Su Fong was overwhelmed with emotions. A strong sense of confidence and pride surged from his heart. He could not help but let out a long roar. His domineering aura soared into the sky and deterred everyone. Law's gratified voice came from the blood jade in his body. Congratulations, Su Fong. You're now considered a peerless expert in the great world. You're one step closer to the peak of the great world. Law, it's all thanks to your guidance that I could reach this step. Su Fong was grateful from the bottom of his heart. Law was both a teacher and a friend to him. If he had not obtained the blood jade by accident, he did not know how many detours he would have had to take along the way. Congratulations, Master. You've become an immortal emperor. The Vermilion Emperor and other big goblin experts, as well as Dugamujian and other peerless experts, all came forward to congratulate him. Bai Ling and the Green Feather Emperor were also sincerely happy for Su Fong. Congratulations, Emperor Su. Perfected Lord Lang Xiao and other experts and giants of various forces came forward to congratulate him. They were all full of respect. This was the great world. When you were weak, you would be trampled on, humiliated, and even at the mercy of others. When you became strong and difficult to suppress, these people would fawn on you and compliment you. It was not just the great world. It was the same for all the small worlds and worlds, from the mortal world to the immortal world. Next, Su Fong temporarily placed the 5 small worlds in the void outside of Emperor Su's residence. With the protection of the world barrier, he was not afraid that the shackles of the great world would affect the cultivators and people in the small worlds. He was also not afraid that experts would try to harm the 5 small worlds. What a joke! Even peak immortal emperor experts like Heavenly Lord Xian Shu and Feng Wuzi could not break through the barrier of the small worlds after working together for several years. Who in this immortal realm had such strength and courage? Unless it was a celestial prime. A celestial prime was the supreme being of a great world. No matter how bored he would not attack a small world. Next, it was time to attack the Heavenly Tao immortal realm. After some planning and preparation, 3 years later, Su Fong took his peerless experts and hundreds of thousands of elite troops into the True Dragon Realm. Then, he was taken by the Cyan Feather Emperor to the Heavenly Tao Immortal Realm. Swoosh! The Cyan Feather Emperor broke through the void and appeared in the sky above the Heavenly Tao Immortal Realm. Su Fong scanned the ground with his perfected ability and immediately raised his eyebrows. That's strange. The Heavenly Tao Immortal Realm's enchantment is not sealed. It looks unguarded. Could Immortal Emperor Tian Ong have already escaped from this immortal realm? I don't think so. The experts lurking in the Heavenly Tao Immortal Realm would send news to Emperor Su's residence every once in a while. Heavenly Lord Xian Shu and Feng Wuzi took Long Xiaojun and Huang Lingyao out of this immortal realm and went to the Heavenly Mandate Hao Tsang sect. Immortal Emperor Tian Ong has been staying in the Heavenly Tao Immortal Realm's royal city. Obviously, he wants to make a last stand. No matter what kind of conspiracy you have, I have to get the last small part of the purple Chi Dharma spirit this time, no matter what. He directly came to the sky above the heavenly Tao immortal realm's royal city. Like the other places in the heavenly Tao immortal realm, the enchantment above the royal city did not activate its defensive ability. Even the magnificent place where the power of the heavenly Tao immortal realm gathered was unguarded. He scanned the royal city with his perfected ability and sensed immortal Emperor Tian Ang's aura. After reaching the Saint Immortal Realm, Su Fang's perfected ability also increased. At this time, he could even sense the aura of the purple Chi Dharma spirit on immortal Emperor Tianang's body. Su Fang looked down and said in a majestic voice, "Immortal Emperor Tianong, still not showing yourself?" Whoosh from the depths of the royal city's palace, figures flew towards Su Fang. The person was none other than immortal Emperor Tianong. At this time, immortal Emperor Tianang's appearance had become old and his aura was weak. However, he was wearing a purple and gold dragon robe. He looked solemn and dignified, like an emperor who was going to attend a grand ceremony. =_ our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1419. Looking at Su Fang, immortal Emperor Tianong had mixed feelings. He used to be an ant that he could crush with one finger, but now he was the ruler of the heavenly law immortal realm. Immortal Emperor Tianong cupped his fists to Su Fang. "Greetings, Emperor Su." The experts from the Long family and the White Sun sect behind Celestial Emperor Tianong cupped their fists and saluted Su Fang. "Greetings, Emperor Su." Su Fang raised his eyebrows and said, "You should know why I came to the heavenly law immortal realm. You and I have an irreconcilable feud. You must be ready for the final battle." Immortal Emperor Tianong smiled bitterly. "Emperor Ning's mansion has been destroyed. My backers, Lord of Heaven Xian Shu and Feng Wuzi, tried to kill you, but failed. Lord of Heaven Xian Shu almost died. They have escaped from this immortal realm. What can I do to fight you? We didn't come here to fight you and make a last-ditch struggle. We came here to surrender to you." Surrender without a fight? Su Fang was surprised. Immortal Emperor Tianong chose to surrender without a fight? Su Fang remained unmoved and said indifferently, "Back then, you used your avatar to capture my relatives and use them to threaten me. I once swore that I would uproot the Long family in the Heaven Tao immortal world and make your primordial spirit suffer the pain of being roasted by the devil flame forever. Even if you surrender to me, you still can't escape death." Immortal Emperor Tianong said in a low voice, "Of course I know. That's why I have a death wish. I only ask that you agree to 2 conditions. I will be at your disposal." "Say it. I have no other request. I only ask that you let go of the Long family in the heavenly law immortal realm. Also, my 3rd son, Long Xiaojun, has some conflicts with you. Please let him go. As long as you agree to these 2 conditions, I will not only give you the purple Chi Dharma spirit, but also the dragon Chi and Emperor Chi that I have cultivated in my life." Su Fang frowned. "You clearly had a chance to live. Why didn't you run?" Immortal Emperor Tianong had a bleak expression as he slowly said, "You are determined to get my purple energy spirit, and I have a blood feud with you. I won't be able to escape your pursuit, even if I run to heaven's mandate bright azure sect." After a pause, Immortal Emperor Tianang's arrogance returned. "I am a peerless immortal emperor who rules over an entire immortal realm. I cultivate the dragon race's cultivation method, so I naturally have the pride of a divine dragon. I would rather die than become a stray dog in the heaven's mandate Hao Tsang sect. If that's the case, why don't I exchange my life for the lives of the Long family, the heavenly Tao immortal realm, and my son, young Lord Long? My death will be worth it." There was a moment of silence. Su Fang said decisively, "Tranquility Emperor is stronger than you, but not much stronger than you. As long as the members of the Long family and the White Sun sect don't go against me in the future, I won't take a single person's life. I also won't make things difficult for young Master Long. I can die with no regrets now that I can get such an evaluation from Emperor Su. Emperor Su has always been a man of his words. Everyone in this immortal realm knows that. So, I could die with peace of mind. Immortal Emperor Tian Ong revealed a relieved smile. He flicked his finger, and a Xian Guang fell on his right arm. Then, a purple energy spirit vein flew out from his right arm. It was like a purple river of stars, emitting bright purple immortal light with a vast and mysterious aura. Purple Chi Spirit. Forcibly stripping the purple Chi Spirit from his body caused immortal Emperor Tian Ang's eyes to turn red. Blood flowed out from his eyes. However, he still smiled and stripped the blood from the purple Chi Spirit. Then, he waved his hand and sent the purple Chi Spirit to Su Fang. This scene was very similar to what happened in the Demon Ceiling Tower in the Jinlong world when immortal Emperor Tian Ang's doppelganger threatened Su Fang with the lives of Xuanxin Fairy and Xianin Tian. Su Fang reached out and grabbed the last part of the purple Chi Spirit in his hand. The purple Chi Spirit in his flesh and meridians was trembling so hard that it was about to burst out. Su Fang felt relieved. The next moment, ecstasy surged from the bottom of his heart. Immortal Emperor Tian Ong peeled off a ball of golden Xian Guang from his body. There was a dragon shadow swimming in the Xian Guang with amazing vitality. It was the dragon chi that he condensed after cultivating the Dragon Clan's cultivation method all his life. After stripping off the dragon chi, Immortal Emperor Tian Ong aged at a speed visible to the naked eye. His hair turned white and his face became old. He looked like an old man in his 60s or 70s. Then, another ball of energy condensed from the Emperor's chi was forced out by Immortal Emperor Tian Ong together with the dragon chi. It was slowly sent to Su Fang. Su Fang collected the purple chi spirit, the dragon chi, and the Emperor's chi into the crucible transformation cauldron. In the cycle of the heavenly Tao, everything is predestined. If I had known it would be like this, I wouldn't have. Huang Lingyao, you gave me the purple chi spirit, but in the end, you killed me. Immortal Emperor Tian Ong looked up to the sky and sighed. His head quickly turned snow white, and then it turned into a dead gray like a dead tree. His body also quickly withered and finally turned into ashes. A gust of wind blew, and the ashes scattered in the vast territory of the heavenly Tao immortal world. The Lord of the heavenly Tao immortal world, who dominated a region, fell. The masters of the Long family and the White Sun sect of the heavenly Tao immortal world bowed deeply to the place where immortal Emperor Tianong fell. In the unseen world, fate is really predestined. Immortal Emperor Tianong used to be a mountain in Su Fang's heart. At this time, the mountain collapsed, but Su Fang's heart did not have much joy. Instead, he sighed. Law sighed in the blood jade in his body. The big world is like this. You kill me, I kill you, and people eat people. If today you and immortal Emperor Tian Ong change places, it would not be as simple as death. Everything you have would be plundered by him. Your family, friends, and subordinates will become slaves of immortal Emperor Tianong. They would be ravaged, and live a life worse than death. If you don't want to fall into this situation, put away your petty kindness. In the big world, there is only killing and plundering. There is no mercy in mercy. Su Fang responded, Law, I am not petty kindness. I am just lamenting the cruelty of the big world. I bear the fate of many people on my shoulders. I swear, I will never fall into the same situation as immortal Emperor Tianong. He looked at the people of the heavenly Tao immortal world. Su Fang said in a majestic voice, Although I promised immortal Emperor Tianong that I will not kill anyone of the heavenly Tao immortal world, including the Long family, but you will not have what you have enjoyed before. You can stay in the heavenly Tao immortal world or leave. If you want to be my subordinate and work for me, Su Fang, I will not refuse. Emperor Su is merciful. Emperor Su, thank you for your magnanimity. Everyone cupped their fists and bowed. They finally breathed a sigh of relief. It was lucky to be alive. Who would dare to hope to retain their previous power and status? Emperor Su is merciful. In Royal City, countless cultivators were waiting for their fates to be decided. which change of power did not cause rivers of blood. Everyone was restless. At this time, when they heard Su Fong say that he would not kill anyone, they suddenly felt as if they had been pardoned and cheered from the bottom of their hearts. Su Fong then said indifferently, But let me tell you first, if you have any second thoughts and try to rebel against me, you know the consequences. We don't dare. Feeling Su Fong's supreme divine power and the will to kill like the heavenly Tao, everyone trembled and their willpower almost collapsed. Return to your positions first and maintain the normal operation of the heavenly Tao immortal world. I will send someone to take it. Go. Everyone bowed again and returned to King City of the heavenly Tao immortal world. Su Fong had long been prepared to take over the heavenly Tao immortal world. He let Xian Yintian lead many experts to take over. In this way, Su Fong took over the heavenly Tao immortal world without bloodshed. The two most prosperous immortal worlds of the immortal Ao Great World, the Tranquility Emperor's Mansion and the heavenly Tao immortal world, both fell into Su Fong's control. This meant that Su Fong had become the overlord of the entire immortal Ao Great World. Of course, it would take many years to digest and reorganize. At the same time, Su Fong needed to further transform the Tranquility Emperor's Mansion, the heavenly Tao immortal world, the constellation of 9 heavens, the clear sky myriad scroll door, and the 5 small worlds brought up from the small world. As for the immortal worlds of the Yuanlu Great World, the Sky-bearing Great World, and the Deqian Immortal World that were previously controlled by the Tranquility Emperor's Mansion and the heavenly Tao immortal world, Su Fong had no plans to take all of them into his sphere of influence for the time being. These immortal worlds were located in other planes. They were separated by the Milky Way, the star field, the sky ravine, and other natural forces. It was easy to conquer, but Su Fong did not have the energy to control all of them for the time being. Moreover, Su Fong's goal was not to become the absolute ruler of this immortal realm. His greater goal was to set foot on the peak of the great world and become a supreme expert. In the end, he even wanted to go to the end of the world and enter the myriad heavens. Becoming an overlord was only to protect himself, his family, and his friends. He did not want to be greedy for such power. Moreover, this immortal realm was only a corner of the entire great world. What was the difference between being an overlord in this remote and desolate place? There was a much wider world outside. The matter of taking over and controlling the heavenly Tao immortal world was naturally handled by his subordinates. The heavenly Tao immortal world had a vast territory and countless immortal cities. It was enough to keep Xian in heaven busy for a while, but it would not cause too much trouble. Su Fong's subordinates, Dugamujian, Withered Glory Immortal, or Black Hawk Demon Emperor, were all in charge of the heavenly Tao immortal world. The Long family and the heavenly Tao White Sun sect could not make any waves. Under absolute strength, any disloyalty and evil thoughts would be firmly suppressed. Su Fong temporarily lived in a palace deep in Monarch City. Having just conquered the heavenly Tao immortal world, he had to personally stabilize the situation. Fused with the purple Qi Dharma spirit, taking out the last small part of the purple Qi Dharma spirit obtained from immortal Emperor Tianong, the joy in Su Fong's heart was simply indescribable. For the third part of the purple Qi Dharma spirit, starting from Zhao country, Su Fong went all the way to the immortal Sealing sect, and then from the small world to the great world. How many twists and turns, how many hardships had he gone through? At this time, the purple Qi Dharma spirit had finally returned to his hands. The purple Qi Dharma spirit in Su Fong's body trembled violently again, appearing abnormally excited and active. The purple Qi Dharma spirit has finally become complete. I wonder what kind of changes it will bring to me. Su Fong's eyes flashed with a hale and hearty gaze, his heart filled with anticipation. Huff, letting out a long breath. He smoothed his breathing and calmed his heart completely. Only then did Su Fong shoot out a blood-red light, covering the last small part of the purple Qi Dharma spirit, and then slowly absorbed it into his body from his right arm. In an instant, The purple Chi Dharma spirit in his body roared wildly, jumping with joy. The meridians in his body were like streams of purple light converging, the power of the purple Chi constantly flowing and roaring up and down. Rays of purple light burst out from Su Fang's body, with the momentum of mountains and tsunamis, immediately sweeping in all directions. From the palace where Su Fang lived, a purple brilliance rose into the sky, causing the entire monarch city and the surrounding thousands of miles to be illuminated by the purple light. Even the four-wheeled divine sun and night in the sky were overshadowed, attracting countless people to look in this direction, extremely shocked. =our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1420. The last small part of the purple Chi Dharma spirit quickly merged with the part of the purple Chi Dharma spirit in Su Fang's body that had already fused with his physical body. The purple Chi meridians extended below Su Fang's legs and merged with the meridians in his legs. The purple Chi Dharma spirit roared and vibrated in his body. At this moment, Su Fang's entire body was connected by the purple Chi Dharma spirit. Only his legs and other parts of his body, as well as some meridians and flesh, were not completely merged. They were still some distance away from perfection. However, the purple Chi Dharma spirit was no longer missing a part. It was complete. However, the primordial spirit of the purple Chi Dharma spirit had yet to awaken. It was still in a deep sleep, unlike what the mysterious lady in the Origin Sacred Mirror had said. Once the purple Chi Dharma spirit was complete, the primordial spirit would awaken. I wonder what the purple Chi Dharma spirit has brought me. He activated the purple Chi Dharma spirit. Su Fang's body was enveloped by the purple Chi. A mysterious force rapidly brewed and then exploded. Su Fang suddenly had a strong feeling that any Dharma treasure would be obedient under the control of this divine power. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Tens of thousands of flying swords appeared beside Su Fang. Under the divine power of the purple Chi Dharma spirit, each flying sword was like an obedient child. Tens of thousands of flying swords gathered together, forming a sea of swords. The sword intent was vast, and the sword chi was monstrous. Go! Whoosh! 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 The tens of thousands of flying swords were like a surging river, spiraling around Su Fang. From the side, Su Fang was like a sword sovereign who controlled tens of thousands of swords, majestic and domineering. Whoosh! 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 Su Fang controlled the flying swords, which sometimes turned into a long river, sometimes into a surging dragon, and sometimes into a boundless sword formation. The scene was spectacular. He could control it as he wished. Everything around him was shattered under the terrifying sword chi. The palace Su Fang lived in instantly collapsed and turned into dust. The monstrous sword intent filled the entire monarch city, causing everyone to tremble in fear. Duga Mujian, who was overseeing Monarch City, sensed the terrifying sword intent. He controlled the dual annihilation swords and rushed over with other experts. Seeing this scene, Duga Mujian and the others were dumbfounded and shocked. Controlling 10,000 flying swords at the same time, what kind of concept was that? Although they were all low-grade flying swords, it was already quite difficult for a peerless sword cultivator like Duga Mujian to control 1,000 low-grade flying swords at the same time. Even if he had advanced to the peak of the 9th Dao Saint stage, it was still impossible for him to control 10,000 flying swords at the same time. If Su Fang used these flying swords to attack, Duga Mujian and the others shuddered. Saint Immortals below the 3rd Dao realm would be killed instantly. Saint Immortals below the 6th Dao realm would be severely injured even if they didn't die. If combined with other skills, the power would be unimaginable. Monster. My master is simply a heaven-defying monster. Dugu Mujian shook his head and smiled bitterly. Everyone's mood and expression were the same. Su Fang put away all the flying swords with a clattering sound. The benefits of having a complete purple chi law spirit would definitely be far more than that. Buzz, there was a commotion in the Heaven and Earth Dao Palace. Su Fong immediately separated a young immortal and entered the Heaven and Earth Tao Palace. The entire Heaven and Earth Tao Palace was filled with mysterious purple chi. The world seed was surrounded by purple clouds, looking deeper and more mysterious. There was an additional invisible thing in the Heaven and Earth Tao Palace. This thing couldn't be seen or touched. Su Fong could only vaguely sense it. The Heaven and Earth Tao Palace had a subtle change, causing Su Fong's future to unfold to an unprecedented height. Only Su Fong had this height. No one else, not even an immortal supremacy, could have it. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The commotion caused by the Xianming Lightning Archive and Underworld Samsara Sword in the Heaven and Earth Tao Palace attracted Su Fong's attention. The Xianming Lightning Archive and Underworld Samsara Sword shook, or rather, they were trembling. Under the supreme divine power of the Purple Chi Law Spirit, the artifact spirits actually showed subservience and reverence. Even the Origin Sacred Mirror, a supreme divine artifact, was slightly trembling at this moment. Under the divine power of the Purple Chi Law Spirit, there was finally some movement. The Samsara Sword Spirit said, "Master, your Purple Chi Law Spirit makes Samsara feel very comfortable. I am willing to be controlled by you and cooperate with you." The artifact spirit of the Xianming Lightning Archive also said faintly, "Samsara is right. I also have this feeling. If Master activates the Purple Chi Law Spirit, my power will definitely increase tremendously. You can activate about 70% to 80% of my power. 70% to 80% of its power." Su Fong was surprised and happy. Activating less than half of the Xianming Lightning Archive's power could seriously injure or even kill a peak Dao Realm expert of the Saint Realm. 70% to 80% of its power could even threaten an immortal supremacy. However, it would definitely cause a great loss to Su Fong. After all, his cultivation realm was too far away from an immortal supremacy. The artifact spirit of the Xianming Lightning Archive said with reverence, "I also have a terrifying feeling of being devoured. Once the original spirit of the Purple Chi Law Spirit awakens and wants to devour me, I will have to take the initiative to send myself to its mouth. It's simply too terrifying. Devouring the artifact spirit, the original spirit of the Purple Chi Law Spirit, is actually so terrifying." Su Fong was shocked. It could actually devour the artifact spirit of a magic treasure. What kind of nature-defying ability was this? At this moment, Luo suddenly said, "The Purple Chi Law Spirit is formed by absorbing countless great pregnant purple chi. It is rare and unique in the world. Of course, it can control the aura of magic treasures. It can easily merge with and control magic treasures. It can even suppress and seize other people's magic treasures. It is not strange that it can devour the artifact spirit of magic treasures." Su Fong was very happy. The Purple Chi Law Spirit can actually bring me such amazing power. All the hardships that I have put in for the third part of the Purple Chi Law Spirit are worth it. After the Purple Chi Law Spirit is complete, it will bring you more benefits than this. Think about it. The Purple Chi Law Spirit is formed by absorbing countless great pregnant purple chi. It is a part of the purple chi. The purple chi represents the fate of the great Tao. The fate of the great Tao is ethereal and difficult to control. However, you have mastered it. Your fate is unparalleled. You will be protected by the great Tao. If you absorb more great pregnant purple chi, the Purple Chi Law Spirit will reach a perfect state. Even the heavenly punishment will not be able to affect you. The heavenly punishment will not be able to affect me. Su Fong was completely shocked. The great emperor of the netherworld was killed by the heavenly punishment. Su Fong obtained the inheritance of the great emperor of the netherworld. What was the most fearful thing in his heart? Naturally, it was the terrifying heavenly punishment. There was also Shinja Tianjun, who sent down the heavenly punishment to destroy the netherworld immortal world. It was like a sword hanging over his head. If he had such fate, he would have nothing to fear. Of course, Su Fong would not try it easily. The purple Qi Law spirit is complete. There is another great benefit. Your godhead has transformed. This is the supreme fate that the purple Qi Law spirit will bring to your Tao palace of heaven and earth, and even your future cultivation. Su Fong felt incredulous. The godhead can also transform. What is the godhead? It is a genius halo, the embodiment of a superior person. It is the talent and qualification to become a god and ascend to the heavens. Having the godhead means that you have the qualification to become a god. However, whether you can really reach that step and how far you can go depends on your fate. For example, those who have the godhead are like some people who are born as princes. They have the possibility of becoming a prince or an emperor equals N_1. They are all princes, but their fates are different. Some will be princes their whole lives, some will become princes, and some will even become emperors. Through cultivating the 9 yang 9 changes, you have the identity of a prince. After the purple Qi Law spirit is complete, you are no longer an ordinary prince. Instead, you have the possibility of becoming a prince or even an emperor. The purple Qi Law spirit is a spiritual treasure of heaven and earth. It is unique and definitely has some special abilities. I can't explain it clearly. You will have to slowly explore it. Even the mysterious Law thought that the purple Qi Law spirit was extraordinary. Su Fong was excited and delighted. After the conversation with Law, he was about to recall the young immortal of heaven and earth Tao Palace. At this time, the Origin Sacred Mirror automatically swept out a cold aura. Unexpectedly, the mysterious woman took the initiative to appear. This was rare. Su Fong quickly entered the mirror space. The mysterious woman's ethereal voice came along with the cold aura. What did you do just now? Even the Origin Sacred Mirror reacted. Su Fong told her about the complete purple Qi Law spirit. So it is the purple Qi Law spirit. This ancient spiritual treasure, the mysterious woman, who had been calm all this time, was also surprised. What a strange spiritual treasure. Even a supreme divine item like the divine mirror was affected by it. The armorer who created the purple Qi Dharma spirit actually came from a macro world and not from the myriad realms. It's unbelievable. You were able to become an immortal emperor in such a short period of time. You could be considered a peerless expert in the great world. You even cultivated the Yang Meridian to the 4th transformation. Most of the reason for this is because you possess such a heaven-defying treasure. Su Fong asked impatiently, Then, can I control the mirror at will now? Control the mirror at will? Don't think that you are qualified to control the chaos divine mirror just because you have become an immortal emperor expert. You still have a long way to go. At the very least, you need to wait until you stand at the peak of the great world and reach the 5th transformation of the 9 suns 9 transformations. Only when your own world's cultivation reaches a certain level can you barely control the mirror. However, you have already reached the 4th transformation. The Heaven and Earth Tao Palace has also allowed you to cultivate some divine power. You can already use a part of the mirror's power. However, it is best that you don't use all your strength to activate the mirror. It will consume too much yang qi. It will affect your cultivation of the 9 yang meridian. It's already beyond my expectations that you could reach such a level in just 2,000 years. I believe that it won't be long before we meet again. Continue to work hard. I believe that you will be able to stand at the peak of the great world soon. Senior, I will work harder. Su Fong asked impatiently. Senior, why is the purple Qi Dharma spirit complete? Why hasn't the primordial spirit awakened? It is probably because the purple Qi Dharma spirit has been asleep for too long. Therefore, the purple Qi Dharma spirit's primordial spirit is also asleep. Although the purple Qi Dharma spirit has become complete, it is not perfect. You still need to continuously absorb the primordial purple Qi. Only then can the primordial spirit merge perfectly with your body and bloodline. At that time, the primordial spirit will awaken. I see. The purple Qi Dharma spirit is very important to you. It is not inferior to the Origin Sacred Mirror. Therefore, when you cultivate the 9 yang meridian, you must also focus on the purple Chi Dharma spirit. The purple Chi Dharma spirit actually represents great luck. What is its ultimate power? It is the most illusory luck, and luck is also a kind of fate. This time, the purple Chi Dharma spirit has become complete. It will definitely change your heaven's secret life, shrinking technique greatly. Download address, mobile reading, bibliography. Chapter 1421. Besides, the purple Chi Dharma spirit has many wonderful uses when used with other divine abilities. You can explore it slowly. If you want to understand all the mysteries of the purple Chi Dharma spirit, you have to find out its origin. The cold Chi retreated into the depths of the mirror space, and the mysterious woman's voice gradually faded away. Su Fong withdrew his young immortal, his heart full of shock and surprise. According to Family Su's ancestors, the purple Chi Dharma spirit came from the purple light sacred ground. However, the great world is so vast, and the purple light sacred ground has most likely disappeared in the long river of history. The boundless secular palace is the only clue to find out the origin of the purple Chi Dharma spirit. It seems that the boundless secular palace is imperative. After the purple Chi Dharma spirit was completed, it actually brought about a transformation to the heavenly secret life shrinking technique. There are many wonderful uses that need to be continuously cultivated, explored, and absorbed more great pregnant purple Chi to awaken the primordial spirit. It seems that I will need to cultivate in seclusion for a long time. Su Fong made up his mind. However, what happened next interrupted Su Fong's cultivation plan. Xian Tian sent a message with a rune talisman. Su Fong, the Great Star Hall Chamber of Commerce requests to see you. Great Star Hall? Su Fong's eyes flashed with a sharp light. The conflict between him and the Great Star Hall was already irreconcilable. After Su Fong took control of the heavenly Tao immortal realm, he ordered many experts to seal off the Great Star Hall in the heavenly Tao immortal realm's royal city. He would deal with it after the purple Chi Dharma spirit was integrated. He didn't expect the Great Star Hall to finally come to him. He wanted to see what they had to say. Let them in. Xian Tian flew over with the other three. When they saw the ruins of the palace around Su Fong, they were shocked and stunned. There were 3 people from the Great Star Hall. The leader was a middle-aged man with a dignified aura. At first glance, one could tell that he was a powerful figure who had been in power for a long time. His aura was rich, and his strength had reached the 3 paths of Saint Immortal Realm. He was the person in charge of the Great Star Hall in this immortal realm. The old man with a goatee was a peerless powerhouse at the 6 paths Saint Celestial stage. He was definitely one of the strongest powerhouses in the celestial realm. However, based on his aura, it was obvious he was from another celestial realm. The other enchanting woman was Madame Feng Hua, the supervisor of the branch of Emperor Ning's mansion. The woman's primordial spirit had been controlled by Night Demon's second primordial spirit. Before Su Fong went to the small world, he had asked her to return to the Grand Star Hall. The Grand Star Hall master cupped his fists and said, "Greetings, Emperor Su." "What's the matter?" Su Fong asked in a majestic voice. Seeing Su Fong's lukewarm attitude, the Grand Star Hall society laughed arrogantly, while the old man with the goatee raised his eyebrows and revealed a sharp and cold gaze. The Grand Star Hall master said, "I had some misunderstandings with Lord Monarch Su. I'm here to resolve the misunderstanding." Misunderstanding? Let's call it a misunderstanding for now. How do you intend to resolve it? Su Fong smiled faintly, but his eyes were cold. First, the Grand Star Hall suppressed Su Fong's Chamber of Commerce. Then, when the 8 forces attacked Su Fong, they took the opportunity to blackmail him and tried to seize the Yin-Yang Immortal Sky Pellets formula and alchemist. Later on, he even used Wang Yuzhen's life to threaten Su Fong and set up the mission of killing a star. He wanted to kill Su Fong. If Su Fong was not powerful, he would not have survived until now. Moreover, the Grand Star Hall's ultimate mission was extremely overbearing. The Bloody Radiance killing mission would not disappear until it was completed. Su Fong had to use the life shrinking technique to remove the Bloody Radiance killing mission. Otherwise, the Bloody Radiance killing mission would still be hanging over his head. Yet, Such a grudge was casually dismissed as a misunderstanding. It was clear how domineering the Grand Star Hall was. The Grand Star Hall did offend Lord Monarch Su before. However, Lord Monarch Su destroyed the Grand Star Hall branch of the Tranquility Emperor's mansion. This is something that has never happened in the Grand Star Hall for thousands of years. Therefore, the headquarters is furious. The Grand Star Hall has always been amiable. As long as Lord Monarch Su takes out the Yin-Yang Immortal Sky Pellet and cooperates with the Grand Star Hall, the Grand Star Hall will not pursue the matter of the destruction of the Grand Star Hall branch of the Tranquility Emperor's mansion. In the future, both sides could do business together and make money together. What do you think, Lord Monarch Su? The Grand Star Hall Master spoke with assurance. Su Fong sneered. Do you mean that I should thank the Grand Star Hall for its magnanimity? The Grand Star Hall Master smiled and said, That's not necessary. In that case, there's nothing more to say. Please go back. Everyone in the Grand Star Hall must leave the royal city of the heavenly Tao immortal world within 10 days. The Grand Star Hall Master's smile faded, and he said coldly, Lord Monarch Su, you should consider it carefully. You're making a mortal enemy of the Grand Star Hall. Su Fong said indifferently, Since the moment the Grand Star Hall kidnapped Wang Yuzhen, they have made a mortal enemy of Su Fong. Does it mean that the Grand Star Hall can do whatever they want while others have to pinch their noses and accept it? The Grand Star Hall's principles are so overbearing. Is this how the Grand Star Hall does business in other immortal realms? The old man with a goatee behind the Grand Star Hall Master shouted coldly, Su Fong, don't think that you're qualified to go against the Grand Star Hall just because you're the overlord of this immortal realm. Who do you think you are? Any expert from the Grand Star Hall can easily turn you into ashes. Su Fong glanced at the old man and asked, Who are you? The old man with a goatee said domineeringly, I'm from the headquarters of the Grand Star Hall. You should think carefully about the consequences of going against the Grand Star Hall. So you're an expert from the headquarters of the Grand Star Hall. Who do you think you are? How dare you yell in front of me? Su Fong. Su Fong smiled indifferently. He paused for a moment and continued. Since you've said so, I'd like to see what the consequences of going against the Grand Star Hall are. When the members of the Grand Star Hall leave, they're not allowed to take anything with them except their clothes. All the branches of the Grand Star Hall in this immortal realm have to evacuate from this immortal realm. Otherwise, the branch of the Tranquility Emperor's residence will be the precedent. Su Fong said domineeringly with a murderous aura. What an arrogant Su Fong. Who do you think you are? How dare you challenge the Grand Star Hall? The old man with a goatee was furious. Su Fong shouted coldly, Duga Mujian. Whoosh! Duga Mujian flew over and said, Master, Su Fong said in a voice full of murderous intent, you're responsible for supervising the evacuation of the Grand Star Hall from Monarch City. If anyone resists or even speaks a word, all the members of the Grand Star Hall will die. Yes. Duga Mujian looked at the old man with a goatee. His eyes were surging with sharp sword intent. Sensing the sharp sword chi of Duga Mujian, the old man with a goatee was frightened. He didn't dare to speak again. Lord Monarch Su, it won't be long before you know what kind of disaster you've caused. The leader of the Grand Star Hall threatened coldly. Then he left with the old man with a goatee and Madame Fanghua. Madame Fanghua secretly transmitted her voice to Su Fong. Master, the Grand Star Hall will definitely send experts here. They might even be supreme experts at the immortal venerable level. Master should be prepared in advance. It doesn't matter. You should try to sneak into the headquarters of the Grand Star Hall. You'll be able to play a role in the future. Su Fong secretly issued an order to Madame Fanghua. Xian Tian said, Su Fong, what the Grand Star Hall has done is indeed hateful. However, the Grand Star Hall is incomparably powerful. Provoking such a strong enemy will only lead to countless troubles. The Grand Star Hall is overbearing. It's no longer just a simple chamber of commerce. Setting up the headquarters in Monarch City of the heavenly Tao immortal world is like a nail stuck in my eyes. Sooner or later, there'll be a big mess. The catastrophe has already swept across the small world and is not far from the great world. I need to create an immortal world that is under my absolute control. I will never allow such a force to exist in the immortal world. It's a good excuse to drive the Grand Star Hall out of the heavenly Tao immortal world. Moreover, with the Grand Star Hall, my Chamber of Commerce can't do business in this immortal domain. I'll take this opportunity to open up the situation for my Chamber of Commerce. Besides, if I'm afraid of trouble, there will be bigger troubles coming one after another in the future. In this immortal domain, the Grand Star Hall can't make any waves. Su Fong said slowly, revealing the lofty, domineering aura of an overlord in the great world. 10 days later, the headquarters of the Grand Star Hall, which had been a monarch city of the heavenly Tao immortal world for thousands of years, left the monarch city in disgrace. Furthermore, before they left, every single member of the Grand Star Hall was thoroughly searched from head to toe. In other words, they were only allowed to leave with the clothes they were wearing. Not long after, suddenly, the Rinjin Manor released a piece of news, revealing the inside story of the deal between the Grand Star Hall and the Demon Realm. The entire great world was in an uproar. The Demon Realm was the mortal enemy of the entire immortal Tao. Since the upheaval, countless forces and cultivators, especially female cultivators, had gone missing without reason. It was all related to the demon race that had infiltrated this immortal domain. The Grand Star Hall had colluded with the Demon Realm in order to make money. It immediately became the public enemy of the immortal Tao. Then, Su Fong stood up and called for the 8 forces to boycott the Grand Star Hall Chamber of Commerce. Emperor Su's voice was immediately echoed. For a time, the Grand Star Hall Chamber of Commerce in countless immortal cities of the 8 great worlds were deserted. There were also many branches in the immortal world that were attacked by unknown experts. After killing the higher-ups of the Grand Star Hall, the Chamber of Commerce was plundered. The huge Grand Star Hall was unable to establish a foothold in this immortal domain. It kept withdrawing and merging branches. In the end, there was only one royal city in each immortal world. It was a great loss. Su Fong's Chamber of Commerce took the opportunity to fill the gap in the Grand Star Hall. After annexing the Tranquility Emperor's residence in the heavenly Tao immortal world, the overall level of Su Fong's alchemy and treasure refinement halls improved greatly. Under the management of Wang Yuzhen and the Yin Yang Immortal Sky Pellet, Su Fong's Chamber of Commerce quickly became a first-class Chamber of Commerce in this immortal domain. It was just that its foundation was a little weak and it lacked manpower. Because of this, Wang Yuzhen became a big shot who controlled a huge Chamber of Commerce. She was as prestigious as the realm lord of an immortal world. Wang Yuzhen counted money every day until her hands cramped. She was happy, but happy at the same time. At the same time, she was very proud of herself. Fortunately, she had decisively clung to someone powerful. Otherwise, how could she have such a status? Su Fong didn't pay much attention to the Grand Star Hall Chamber of Commerce. Instead, he focused on another important matter. Su Fong decided to move the heavenly Tao immortal world, the Su Emperor's residence, the constellation of 9 heavens, the clear sky myriad scroll door, and the 5 small worlds together. They would create a world barrier and form a brand new great world. Su Fong's intention couldn't be more simple. The world changed, and the small worlds were destroyed in the catastrophe. If Su Fong hadn't carefully modified the 5 small worlds before ascending to the Great World, they wouldn't have been able to escape the catastrophe. The Great World would inevitably be swept by the catastrophe. Therefore, Su Fong decided to create a stable Great World to deal with the destructive catastrophe. Although the Zhenlong world could accommodate countless people, it was a space magic treasure after all. Moreover, it was severely damaged and could only last for less than 100,000 years. Su Fong had to plan for the long term. After this decision was made, many experts under Su Fong were shocked. =our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1422. Although the Tian Dao Immortal Realm and Emperor Ning's Mansion both belong to the Xian Ao Great World, they belonged to independent planes and were separated by a great distance. On the way, they had to pass through various space-time, material realms, and dangerous areas. It was already an extremely difficult task to move the two immortal realms, the Star Palace and the 10,000 Scrolls door together. Now, they had to join them together to create a world barrier. What kind of extravagance was this? What kind of boldness was this? Su Fong explained his thoughts. Only then did everyone understand Su Fong's intention. Knowing that the great world that was about to be created would be their home, who would not be excited and do their best. Immediately, he began to make preparations for his new home. It was a matter of great importance and was not something that could be completed in just a few years. After making some arrangements, Su Fong handed over all the preparation work to his subordinates. He himself went into seclusion in the Jinlong realm. While cultivating, he enjoyed a peaceful life that he had never had since he started cultivating. He lived a life of inseparable love with Xuanxin. Xuanxin's plan to go out for training had to be postponed again until Su Fong's grand plan was completed. In the Jinlong realm, Su Fong's cultivation dojo equals N_1. The 5 blood avatars were cultivating in the formation. At this time, Su Fong had reached the 4th transformation of the 9 suns, 9 changes. His yang qi was deep and abundant. The underworld blood sea had also transformed to 1,500 feet. The Black Lotus real body and the Fire Cloud Emperor body had matured. His other abilities had also transformed to an amazing level. At this time, he could easily condense 5 blood avatars. These 5 avatars cultivated the 9 suns, 9 changes, the life shrinking technique, the ethereal truth, and the underworld blood sea. The other avatar was constantly devouring thunder-type spiritual objects and the heavenly thunder power in the thunder punishment cauldron to cultivate the thunder punishment real body. Su Fong's real body took out a golden Xinguang. There was a dragon shadow running and roaring in it. The amazing dragon qi was vast and surging. It turned out that Su Fong wanted to devour immortal Emperor Tian Ang's dragon qi to cultivate his body. As for how to devour dragon qi to cultivate, Su Fong had no idea. He peeled off a young immortal and came to the blood-colored cage in the blood jade. Law's blood-red figure sat cross-legged in the cage, fusing with the surrounding cage, chains, and flames constantly burning. Law was still calm and optimistic, and said with a smile, "Why? Do you want to devour the dragon qi?" "Luo, to devour the dragon qi, don't tell me I have to cultivate the dragon clan's cultivation method. There's no need for that. Your yellow spring blood, see, has already been cultivated to a certain level. You should be able to directly devour dragon qi." Once the dragon qi was mastered by a cultivator, they would possess a powerful physical body and an astonishing amount of yang energy. At the same time, they would possess great luck. Immortal Emperor Tian Ang cultivated the Dragon Clan's cultivation method all his life. The dragon qi he condensed is extraordinary. It must have a great effect on your physical body and yang qi. I can sense the vitality and yang energy in the dragon qi. As for luck, I don't see any great luck from immortal Emperor Tianong otherwise. The dragon qi he cultivated all his life would not have fallen into my body. If immortal Emperor Tianong heard your words, even if he came back to life, he would be angered to death by you. You have the purple qi dharma spirit. Who can compare to your luck? The purple qi dharma spirit brings you great luck that no one can compare to. Naturally, it can suppress and even seize the luck of others. So powerful, such a powerful heaven and earth spiritual treasure was completely obtained by you. I really believe that you have the ability to gather all the blood jade one day. Su Fong originally thought that the conversation was over, but Law suddenly said, "Immortal Emperor Tian Ong handed over his dragon qi and emperor qi so easily. I always feel that something is not right." Yes, immortal Emperor Tian Ong is indeed a bit strange. After all, he is a peerless immortal emperor who has dominated the heavenly Tao immortal world for millions of years. Immortal Emperor Tian Ang's family should be related to the Dragon Clan in ancient times. Although the Dragon Clan is a legend, it is not groundless. In ancient times, the Dragon Clan often appeared in the human world. Although they have not appeared in the great world now, it does not mean that they have disappeared. Immortal Emperor Tianong gave you his dragon chi. Maybe he wants to attract the dragon clan for you. If you encounter the dragon clan in the future, you have to be careful. I will remember. The young immortal left the blood jade and returned to Su Fang's body. After forming the hand seals, the blood water clones collapsed into blood water, which was swallowed by Su Fang's main body and merged with his main body. Inside his main body, the roaring sound of the blood water from the yellow springs could be heard. On the surface, Su Fang was still in his physical state. In fact, the inside of his body had turned into blood water. This was because after the Yellow Spring Blood Sea's continuous transformation, Su Fang's control of the Yellow Spring Blood Sea had reached an exquisite level. He opened his mouth again and sucked. The dragon chi wrapped in the golden Xinguang was swallowed into Su Fang's body. It was quickly swallowed by the blood water, wrapped in his skin, and quickly merged into a part of the blood water. The dragon chi contained astonishing vitality and yang power. After it was swallowed by the Yellow Spring Blood Sea, the blood water in his body immediately burned with a monstrous flame of vitality. It roared crazily in his body, making Su Fang's whole body full of vitality. Even 100 immortal emperor powerhouses would not have as much vitality as Su Fang. Su Fang felt that the blood water was rapidly changing under the effect of the dragon chi. If it turned into a physical state, the strength of his body would definitely leap to a new level. Suddenly, there was movement from the blood water in his body. It did not come from anywhere else. It was actually the dragon taming wood. After turning into a blood water state, the left arm of the dragon taming would also turn into blood water and spread throughout his body. At this time, it was trembling in surprise and greedily absorbing the dragon chi in the blood water. In the blink of an eye, the dragon taming wood had absorbed most of the dragon chi. The dragon taming wood is a wood elemental spiritual treasure. It can absorb wood elemental essence to grow. I can also absorb dragon chi. After thinking carefully, Su Fang vaguely understood. The dragon taming wood was a peerless spiritual treasure. It was wood elemental essence and contained vitality. After it was fused into the left arm by Su Fang, it absorbed the essence of his body and finally became a part of Su Fang's body. At the same time, Su Fang's flesh and blood also completely extended to the dragon taming wood. The ability of the dragon taming would also became Su Fang's ability, and the dragon chi contained astonishing vitality. It was not strange that it was absorbed by the dragon taming wood. However, things were obviously not as simple as Su Fang imagined. After reforming his body, he saw that the dragon taming wood's left arm fused with Su Fang's body. An astonishing green immortal light burned at the intersection. A domineering but full of vitality, power, constantly extended to the shoulder of the body. Wherever it went, Su Fang felt as if his flesh and blood and meridians were being torn apart. However, there was no way to control this sudden change. The only thing he could do was wait. After the green immortal light spread over the shoulder, it continued to extend to the chest and then to the head. If Su Fang's willpower was not strong enough, this tearing pain would have made him directly lose consciousness and pass out. Su Fang's left arm and the area where the green immortal light extended also underwent an astonishing transformation. A layer of bark-like substance condensed on the surface of his skin. However, if one looked carefully, it looked like dragon scales. At this time, Law suddenly exclaimed, "Hey, it's actually like this. Hurry up and use your yang qi to help that power extend to other parts of the body. Opportunity, great opportunity. I'm about to die from the pain, and it's still a great opportunity." Su Fang had always trusted Law's words. Although he was puzzled, he still urged the 9 yang qi in his yang meridian to fuse with the power released by the dragon taming wood after absorbing the dragon chi. He helped this power quickly extend to the head, chest, flesh, and meridians. In an instant, Su Fang's left arm, head, and chest burned with raging yang qi flames. The green immortal light was like a ladle of oil poured on the fire. With a boom, it spread to the deeper parts of the body and other areas with burning momentum. The dragon taming would underwent an astonishing transformation. This continued for more than 2 hours before everything finally calmed down. Su Fong hurriedly examined his body. On the surface, there seemed to be no change. However, inside the body, mainly the left arm, chest, head, and the upper arm of the right arm from the shoulder down, in the flesh, blood, and meridians, there were streaks of blood. These were the streaks of blood formed after the dragon taming would fused with Su Fong's essence blood. What made Su Fong feel even more incredulous was that in addition to the aura of the dragon taming wood, there was also a strange and mysterious aura. The aura of the divine dragon, Dragon Chi. After the left arm of the dragon taming would absorb the dragon Chi, not only did it grow wildly, it also contained the aura of the divine dragon. What's going on? Su Fong was puzzled, so he urged the dragon taming wood. Roar! A stream of aura spurted out from Su Fong's throat, like a dragon's roar, resounding through the world, distant, clear, and awe-inspiring in all directions. The part where the dragon taming wood was fused with burst of astonishing dragon chi, filling Su Fong's body with the majestic power of the dragon clan. The muscles on his body bulged, and the skin of these parts quickly condensed into blue dragon scales. Even his face and head were all the same dragon scales. Not only that, this power quickly spread to his left hand, turning his palm into a ferocious dragon claw. Su Fong was full of power and even had the illusion that he could scratch a big hole in the sky with one claw. At this moment, Su Fong had turned into a half-dragon, half-human monster. Su Fong was completely dumbfounded. From the blood jade in his body came the voice of Law. Full of surprise, Su Fong, congratulations, you have inadvertently obtained another real body ability. This is also a real body ability? Law, tell me first, how did the dragon taming would absorb the dragon chi and undergo such an amazing change? First, tell me how you obtained the dragon taming wood and how you fused the dragon taming wood into your left arm. Su Fong told Law the story of how he obtained the dragon taming wood in the underground world of the heavenly gourd realm, and how he fused it into his left arm. It seems that my guess is not far from the mark. There are many reasons for the birth of spiritual objects, such as heavenly fire, heavenly thunder, or the power of a powerful cultivator or the big goblin. After absorbing the essence of these forces, it mutates, and the spiritual object is born. The reason for the dragon taming wood's birth should be because it obtained the power released by the big goblin and finally became a spiritual object. And this big goblin, if my guess is correct, is the divine dragon. Dragon taming wood, divine dragon. Su Fong suddenly understood. So the name of the dragon taming wood was not made up by people, but was really related to dragons. The dragon taming wood was originally born from the power of the divine dragon, and this time it absorbed the dragon chi. The dragon taming would obtain the opportunity to transform into this level in one fell swoop. Law continued. The dragon taming would turn into your left arm, and it transformed, so you naturally obtained a new real body ability. This real body not only has wood-type abilities, but also some of the natural abilities of the dragon clan. Since the real body was formed from the dragon taming wood, why not call it the dragon taming real body? Download address. Mobile reading. Bibliographic review. Chapter 1423. Dragon subduing real body. Su Fong was overjoyed. He had another real body, dragon subduing real body, and it was a wood-type real body B. The Black Lotus real body had matured. Now that he had obtained the dragon subduing real body, his body's recovery ability and vitality had undergone another great transformation. Su Fong estimated that even if he was in a dying state, he could recover in a short time. At the same time, he also had the special ability of the Dragon Clan. Of course, he had to explore it slowly. At the same time, he had to cultivate the Dragon Clan's cultivation methods and magic skills, especially the Curse of the Divine Dragon. That was a famous magic skill during the ancient war of immortals and demons. Su Fong had to master it. Moreover, after devouring the dragon Chi, Su Fong's perfect physical body had transformed again, The various real body abilities that were built on the foundation of the perfect physical body had also improved. However, the dragon subduing wood real body had just started. It needed to constantly devour dragon chi, wood-type essence, or spiritual objects to reach the same level as the Black Lotus real body. At that time, the dragon subduing real body and the Black Lotus real body would make Su Fang's recovery ability and vitality reach an unimaginable level. Immortal Emperor Tianong is my lucky star. He made my purple Chi Dharma spirit complete, and then I obtained the dragon subduing real body. There is still the Emperor Chi that I haven't devoured. Once I integrate it, my way of the Emperor will also reach the perfect level. Immortal Emperor Tianong is really a good person. Su Fang sighed with emotion. If Immortal Emperor Tianong knew this in the underground world, he would probably vomit blood and die of anger. He continued to settle in the state of cultivation. The main thing was to integrate the celestial spirit root that he had obtained in the ascension pool. The vitality in the celestial spirit root had been devoured by the immortals and demons. The celestial spirit root also contained the profound meaning of the heavenly Tao. After integration, it could improve his understanding of the law of heavenly Tao. Su Fang planned to use the new understanding to cultivate various cultivation methods. Whoosh, whoosh. After forming the hand seal, 6 blood and water doppelgangers are condensed in the formation equals N_1. Su Fang now had another blood clone. That was because the dragon taming wood had unexpectedly transformed, giving him the dragon taming true body. This had raised Su Fang's life force to a whole new level. He now had the ability to create another blood clone. One clone cultivated the 9 changes of 9 yang, with the help of the dragon chi of the dragon chi. The others cultivated the heavenly secret life, shrinking technique, ethereal truth, yellow springs blood sea, and lightning punishment true body. The new one devoured celestial Emperor Tianong's imperial chi and cultivated the imperial Tao. An immortal emperor, immortal emperors. His immortals bodies, immortal emperors, and immortal. At the same time, Su Fang placed the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda in his purple cloud Dharma spirit and watered it with various blood essences. With the help of various physical abilities, the transformation of the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda was further accelerated. Su Fang had become an immortal emperor. With the wood elemental ability of the dragon subduing wood real body, the fire elemental ability of the fire cloud emperor physique, and the thunder elemental ability of the thunder body, the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda had also undergone a great transformation. It wouldn't take long for it to become a peak supreme gray Tao artifact. At that time, Su Fang's natal divine aura would rise to a whole new level, making Su Fang's ability to surpass his level even more terrifying. After advancing to the Saint Immortal realm, the second primordial spirit's ability had also undergone a transformation. At this time, it was also in the cultivation dojo. It was fusing with the vitality in the celestial spirit root to continuously restore the body of the immortal and demon monster. Once it was completely fused, its strength would increase greatly again. Su Fang's strength had once again undergone a great transformation. Time flew. Su Fang was constantly stabilizing and advancing toward the peak bit by bit. The experts under Su Fang were also rapidly increasing their strength with the help of abundant cultivation resources. After annexing the Tranquil Emperor's Mansion and the Heavenly Tao Immortal Realm, in addition to 100 Divine Essence pills, as well as the King Grade pills and Yin Yang Immortal Sky pills refined by Old Monster Zhu Tian, it was difficult for the experts under Su Fang to not improve quickly. In the blink of an eye, about 50 years had passed. Whoosh on this day, Su Fang flew out of the true dragon realm, passed through the barrier, and appeared in the sky above the heavenly Tao Immortal Realm's King City. The undead king, the immortal fiend monster, Dugamujian, old immortal withered Rome, Black Hawk Demon Emperor, old monster Zhu Tian, perfected Peng Hua, and other immortal emperors, as well as the Green Feather Emperor, Bailing, and other powerful big goblin Lihaojia, and the Lord of Five Poisons had all arrived. It turned out that everything was ready. All that was left was to move the heavenly Dao immortal realm to the Su Emperor's mansion. Then, the two immortal realms, the clear sky myriad scroll door, the constellation of 9 heavens, and the 5 small worlds would be created into a brand new great world. Su Fang's eyes swept across everyone. He realized that in the past 50 years, all the experts under him had improved by quite a bit. Old immortal Withered Realm had successfully broken through the 7 Dao Saint Realm and advanced to the 8 Dao Saint Realm. He had been stuck at the 7 Dao Saint Realm for 5 million years. Now he had actually broken through in just a few hundred years. Even he himself felt that it was a little unbelievable. His dispirited image of a sloppy old beggar was swept away. As for Dugamujian, he had further fused with the twin swords of annihilation and advanced to the 7 Dao Saint Realm. With his current combat strength, ordinary 9 Dao Saint Realm experts were no match for him. The Green Feather Emperor, Bailing, and the other big goblins' improvement was even more shocking. Not only did Su Fang give them the corpse of a golden-robed sword slave that he had killed in the Ascension Pool, but he also gave them divine essence pills and royal grade pills for them to use. One could imagine the speed of their transformation equals N_1. Currently, the Green Feather Emperor and Bailing had reached the pinnacle of the Demon Emperor realm. They were not far from breaking through to the Demon Emperor realm. Lihaojia had the greatest transformation. He had already reached the 9 Dao world realm and was catching up to Su Fang. On the other hand, the Lord of Five Poisons was only at the 8 Dao world realm. The two of them were Su Fang's sworn friends. Naturally, all kinds of resources were given to them first. In addition, Lihaojia was a savior, and the Lord of Five Poisons had the Five Poisons true body. It was not hard to understand why he had improved so quickly. Even the dead Lord's strength had recovered to the pinnacle of the 9 Dao Saint Realm with the help of the divine essence pills and royal grade pills. He was only a step away from the immortal supremacy realm. Because old monster Zhu Tian had refined royal grade pills, he was now the top alchemist in the immortal domain. He had a high status and was greatly favored by Su Fang. Let's begin. After Su Fang made a hand seal, he activated the ethereal 10,000 Arts Dao and slowly communicated with the world origin of the heavenly Dao immortal world. 3 days later, rumble. The heavenly Dao immortal world's royal city and the entire immortal world shook. The world origin was awakened from its static state by Su Fang's ethereal 10,000 Arts Dao. It broke through the world seal and turned into a spectacular scene of stars gathering in the Milky Way. After fusing with the world origin of the heavenly Dao immortal world, Su Fang did not devour it. Instead, he activated the world divine might and peeled off chains condensed from the world origin from the world boundary. Let's go. Under the drag of Su Fang's many experts, the heavenly Dao immortal world moved slowly and then gradually accelerated. It shuttled through the void and headed toward Emperor Su's residence. The 4 powerful experts, the Dead Lord, Dugamujian, Withered Glory Immortal, and Blackhawk Demon Emperor, cleared the path in front and cleared all obstacles in their way. 20 years later, the heavenly Dao immortal world plane appeared in the void near Emperor Ning's residence. Between the 2 huge material planes, there was a huge natural repulsive force of heaven and earth, causing the world boundary to tremble. Fuse. Su Fang shouted and activated the power of the world seed and the ethereal 10,000 Arts Dao. He grabbed the world origin of the 2 immortal worlds from the ground. The world origin of the 2 immortal worlds had been fused by Su Fang, so he could easily control it. In the void, a spectacular scene was playing out. The 2 Milky Way, formed by the world origin of the heavenly Dao immortal world, and Emperor Su's palace gradually fused into one. The blood chi that Su Fang had fused into the world origin was the mixture of the 2 origins. The 2 Milky Way converged and blended with each other, becoming a bright and vast Milky Way. There is no longer any repulsive force between Emperor Su's residence and the heavenly Dao immortal world. Instead, There was an incomparable affinity between them, as if they were born as one. Puff, the heavenly law, immortal realm, slowly approached Emperor Su's residence. First, the world enchantment of the two material planes came into contact. Under Su Fang's control, the world enchantment quickly merged into one. It was as if nature itself was formed. Rumble. Then the material planes slowly collided together. There was a loud rumble, and the earth shook. The mountains and rivers within 10,000 miles of the contact area collapsed, and the earth caved in. Fortunately, the living creatures in this area had long been cleared. Otherwise, who knew how many lives would have been lost in this collision alone? Su Fang sent the world origin of the heavenly Tao, immortal world, and Emperor Su's residence back into the earth, and then sealed it with the power of the world. In this way, the two immortal worlds, under the supreme magical powers of Su Fang and his many subordinates, were miraculously connected and became a vast and boundless material continent. In the next 10 years, the two ancient ruins, the constellation of 9 heavens and the clear sky myriad scroll door, were also moved by Su Fang's subordinates and placed in the air above the newly fused continent by Su Fang. The 5 small worlds were placed by Su Fang around the constellation of 9 heavens and the clear sky myriad scroll door. It was like a river of stars surrounding the two ancient ruins. In this way, the immortal world, the ruins, and the 5 small worlds controlled by Su Fang finally became one and formed a brand new great world. Such a spectacular and shocking scene shocked all of Su Fang's subordinates and made them gasp in amazement. From now on, the new great world will be our home. Su Fang's somewhat excited voice spread throughout the new great world. It immediately caused waves of cheers. Everyone's blood was boiling, and some people were so excited that tears welled up in their eyes. Home! In the apocalypse of the 3 realms, to all the cultivators, citizens, and even the big goblin, home was undoubtedly the most precious thing. It was worth protecting with their lives. The Green Feather Emperor said, Su Fang, now that the two immortal worlds of the immortal Ao Great World have merged together, there is the constellation of 9 heavens and the clear sky myriad scroll door, as well as the 5 small worlds. It is equivalent to a brand new great world. It is clearly not appropriate to call it the immortal Ao Great World. You should give a name. Without waiting for Su Fang to speak, Bai Ling impatiently said, the new great world will naturally be led by Su Fang. Let's call it the Square Heaven Great World. Square Heaven Great World. This name is not bad. Square Heaven Great World. Everyone cheered this name loudly. The immortal Ao Great World became history, and a brand new great world was born. Square Heaven Great World. Emperor Su, what a powerful, remarkable power. What great courage. Countless cultivators and experts from other great worlds saw such a spectacular scene. It was like a miracle, and everyone was incomparably shocked. Many people were incomparably envious and wanted to join the Square Heaven Great World and become member. At the same time, those experts from the 8 forces who came to inquire about Su Fang's next move could also see that Su Fang had no intention of conquering other great worlds. Their hearts, which had been hanging high for many years, could finally be temporarily put down. =_ our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1424. In the next 100 years, Su Fang began to pour his heart and soul into creating the world barrier of the Square Heaven Great World. He used the power of the World Seed and the Demon Sealing Emperor's Heavenly Seal's ability to create formations to create independent world barriers for the Great Continent, the 5 small worlds above it, the constellation of 9 heavens, and the clear sky's myriad scroll door. The Demon Sealing Emperor's Heavenly Seal had the unique ability to disintegrate and create formations. Back then, Sanghuan Immortal Venerable was able to seal himself and Demon Venerable Ming Gu together. Now, Su Fang's Purple Cloud Dharma Spirit was complete. The birth of the World Seed could push the Demon Sealing Emperor's Heavenly Seal's ability to the limit, creating layers of formations and world barriers. One could imagine how extraordinary they would be. Su Fang was still not at ease. He connected all the independent world barriers together. In this way, all the world's divine auras were connected together, and the defensive divine auras were strengthened by more than 10 times. With such a strong world barrier, even an immortal venerable wouldn't be able to break through it in a short period of time. When the time came, if an expert continued to inject the world's origin energy, true chi, and demonic chi, even an immortal venerable wouldn't be able to do anything. The cultivators and citizens of the 5 small worlds were still unable to adapt to the great world's environment. This was something that no one could change. The cultivators of the small worlds could only cultivate and form an immortal body before they could leave the small worlds and enter other places. As for the ordinary citizens, their lifespans were no more than 100 years. Most people would find it difficult to leave an empire in their lifetime. Going outside the small worlds was only everyone's dream. Su Fong didn't let Su Yaotian and his family, Su clansmen, interfere with the matters of the great world. After all, they were still cultivators of the small worlds. It wasn't easy for them to control the immortals of the great world, nor was it a good thing. The great world was mainly dominated by Xianyin Tian and his loyal subordinates of Su Fong. The constellation of 9 heavens and the clear skies myriad scroll door were built as alchemy and treasure refinement sites. They also built cultivation sites and mystic realms to select the most talented disciple from the great world below, as well as cultivators from the 5 small worlds. All of them entered the sites to cultivate. Thus, the constellation of 9 heavens and the clear skies myriad scroll door became the places where Su Fong nurtured geniuses. Li Ziqing, Su Jinhua, and thousands of other small world giants passed the great apocalypse and formed immortal bodies, becoming immortals. They also entered the constellation of 9 heavens and the gate of 10,000 scrolls, starting from the lowest level of immortals. On the continent below, Su Fong was completely reorganized, establishing laws, dividing territories, and reorganizing various forces, mainly sects, clans, and cultivation forces. With Su Fong's current strength and his absolute control over the great heaven world, who would dare to defy him? Su Fong also sent out experts to guard every immortal city in the world of Su Fongda. Mao Chang, Immortal Changgu, Dai Yong, and the 5 freaks of Ghost Dao had followed Su Fong for a long time. Even the former master of Emperor Ning's mansion, Yin Mo, had been appointed by Su Fong as the castellan of the immortal city. Even the baby Huang Fu had become the castellan of a huge immortal city. The other cultivators who had followed Su Fong for a long time had also grown into experts. They were sent out by Su Fong to guard an area. When there was a big battle, they could be summoned at any time. Of course, there were also many who only wanted to cultivate. They either lived in the constellation of 9 heavens, the gate of 10,000 scrolls, or chose to cultivate in seclusion in a spiritual land full of natural spirit chi. The powerful big goblin under Su Fong, except for the green feather emperor, Bai Ling, Zhu emperor, Tongtian demon venerable, undying turtle, and other powerful big goblins who were unwilling to leave Su Fong's side. The others had been properly settled by Su Fong, who had specially set aside a territory for them to live in. Su Fong had also set aside a territory for demonic Dao cultivators, such as Ba Mo Monarch, Sai Xuan Monarch, and other demonic Dao cultivators to live and cultivate in. White Cloud Immortal Palace was also rebuilt. The former Palace Lord retired behind the scenes and passed the position of Palace Lord to Immortal Lord Bai Hua. There was one thing that made Su Fong very speechless. The monk Shangde, who was a wine and meat monk, actually begged Su Fong to become the emperor of an empire and enjoy a life of glory and wealth. Bai Ling taught him a lesson and finally let Su Fong take the monk into the Jinlong realm so that he could reflect on his mistakes in seclusion. Then, Su Fong recruited a large number of source energy cultivators in the grand world. There were more than 10 million of them. Su Fong used the source energy of the square heaven great world as a seed and injected it into their bodies. In this way, they could cultivate with the help of the source energy of the square heaven great world. Their cultivation speed would be much faster than other cultivators, and they would be directly under Su Fong's control. There was no possibility of betrayal. About 50 years later, the transformation and reorganization of the square Heaven Great World had just been completed. Su Fong used the source energy of the world and the life force of the dragon taming wood to display the supreme divine power of the three great empires that had been devoured by the undead king. Like a miracle, the three great empires that had fallen into a dead silence were revived. However, it would still take hundreds of thousands of years for them to return to their original state. The whole square Heaven Great World, from the inside out, had been reorganized by Su Fong. It was impregnable and looked brand new, full of vitality. The eight forces came to congratulate him. When they saw the square Heaven Great World, they were also amazed. They were shocked and in awe of Su Fong's heaven-defying divine power and overall strength. At this time, the square Heaven Great World had become the most powerful grand world in this immortal domain. As long as Su Fong wanted to, it would be easy for him to sweep across the other grand worlds. However, Su Fong did not have such thoughts. The reason why he had painstakingly managed the square Heaven Great World was not to dominate. The Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect and the Great Star Hall, these two powerful enemies, could kill their way back to this immortal domain at any time and take revenge on Su Fong. Su Fong had to be fully prepared in advance. In addition, Su Fong also had a strong sense of urgency and danger. The apocalyptic catastrophe that would sweep across the three realms, the demon race, and the resurrected experts would come at any time. Therefore, Su Fong was not relaxed and did not have the thought of dominating this grand world. Outside the immortal domain, the boundless Milky Way, star field, heavenly moat, and other natural forces separated this immortal domain from the other immortal domains. Top forces like the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect and the Great Star Hall Chamber of Commerce had built very secretive space array passageways. They could travel between the Milky Way, star field, and heavenly moat in an extremely short time. Moreover, they had to pay a huge price every time they traveled through the array. For other cultivators, only immortal emperor experts had the strength to travel between the two immortal domains. Moreover, it would take hundreds of years, and they would encounter countless dangers along the way. There was even the danger of death. Therefore, very few foreign cultivators entered this immortal domain. Whoosh, a white-haired old woman broke through the air from the vast star sand. The white-haired old woman's aura was void and as white as snow. Her eyes seemed to be sealed with ice. One look from her seemed to be able to freeze the world and nature. Even a peak immortal emperor expert like Heavenly Lord Xian Shu dared not use such an ability to travel between the two immortal domains. This white-haired old woman was a peerless expert at the immortal venerable level. A ray of cold light shot out from her eyes. It seemed to be able to penetrate the vast star sand and see the immortal domain far away in space. I really didn't expect that a peerless genius with a true body of the ice phoenix would appear in this desolate star field. My peerless cultivation technique, the mysterious Ice Heart Sutra, finally has a successor. The white-haired old woman muttered to herself. A peerless genius with the true body of the ice phoenix is actually dual cultivating with a man. Humph, what kind of man is worthy of the true body of the ice phoenix? He really deserves to die. A ray of cold light flashed across the white-haired old woman's eyes. The star sand around her froze. Suddenly, the white-haired old woman looked into the depths of the vast star sand and said in a cold voice, "Which expert is hiding there sneakily? Could it be that he wants to take advantage of me?" The star sand tumbled, and a silhouette emerged from the void. It was a chubby old man with kind face. He smiled and cupped his fists to the white-haired old woman. Ji Xing greets, immortal mistress Frozen Dream. The white-haired old woman's expression changed slightly. Immortal, venerable Ji Xing of the Great Star Hall, why are you also in this immortal domain? The chubby old man smiled and said, "Something happened in the Great Star Hall. Also, the Great Star Hall accepted a big business deal, so I had to come here personally." Immortal Mistress Frozen Dream, why did you come to this desolate, immortal domain? Could it be that the Great Star Hall is also interested in my business? Immortal Mistress Frozen Dream snorted coldly. She seemed to have a strange temperament. Then, she directly flew into the sky. This Immortal Mistress Frozen Dream is a famous old monster in the great world. She is extremely powerful. Other than Xia, Immortal Venerable, who has some friendship with her, no one else dares to get close to her. Seeing her today, it is indeed so. Immortal Venerable Jixing raised his white eyebrows and shook his head with a smile. I will go to the Thunder Waterfall pool first and finish the business deal with the Chamber of Commerce. As for that trouble, let the demon race deal with it. Immortal Venerable Jixing's smile was filled with killing intent. He also flew into the sky and left the Star Sand region. True Dragon Realm. Su Fong finished dealing with the affairs of the great world and came to the palace. It was Fairy Xuanxin. She was about to leave this immortal domain and go to other immortal domains to train and cultivate. For a moment, the two were speechless. They were both filled with reluctance. After a long time, Fairy Xuanxin said, "How about, I don't go out?" Su Fong shook his head and smiled. "Go. You have your ambitions and dreams. Besides, it is not a life and death separation. If you're tired outside, you can come back anytime. The Square Heaven Great World is your home." Home! Tears seeped out of Fairy Xuanxin's eyes. Su Fong said with a smile, "I have specially prepared a gift for you. You must accept it." "A gift?" Fairy Xuanxin smiled. Su Fong was not someone who knew how to make a girl happy. She did not expect him to give her a gift. It was really a rare thing. Su Fong struck out a xianguang with his left palm. A doppelganger appeared in front of him. "You are." Fairy Xuanxin looked at Su Fong in surprise. This doppelganger looked exactly the same as Su Fong on the surface. However, if one carefully sensed its aura, they were very different. In the doppelganger's aura, there was an incomparably vast and majestic thunder aura. Lightning flashed in its deep eyes. Its gaze was like lightning, carrying the divine power of thunder punishment. At this moment, the doppelganger suddenly said, "I am a thunder doppelganger created by my original body over the years. I specialize in cultivating the thunder punishment true body. This time, when you go out to train, I will bring the thunder punishment cauldron with me to accompany you. At the same time, I will also train with you. If you encounter any life-threatening danger, it is not a big loss to sacrifice me." Fairy Xuanxin was stunned. She, who was usually calm, also burst into tears. She hugged Su Fong tightly, as if she wanted to merge herself into Su Fong's body. The next moment, the two opened up everything. Spirit and flesh merged together. At the same time, Su Fong's pure yang qi and Fairy Xuanxin's cold qi merged together. They were immersed in the state of yin and yang dual cultivation. Suddenly, the dragon qi in Su Fong's body merged with Fairy Xuanxin's ice phoenix aura, causing a huge commotion. A dragon's roar, accompanied by a phoenix's cry, was loud and clear. The two auras intertwined and soared into the sky. Even the magic treasure space of the true dragon realm could not stop them. They rushed out of the Square Heaven Great World, forming a magnificent scene of a divine dragon and a divine bird merging in the void. An auspicious aura enveloped the Square Heaven Great World. Dragon and Phoenix bring auspiciousness. =_ download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1425. Dragon and Phoenix bring prosperity. The dragon was the king of all beasts, while the phoenix was the king of all birds. One was flying and mysterious, while the other was elegant, beautiful, and auspicious. The perfect combination of the two was the legendary dragon and phoenix bring prosperity. Dragon and Phoenix bring prosperity was the greatest auspicious sign in the world, and it only existed in legends. No one expected that after Su Fong obtained the dragon taming with true body, his dual cultivation with Fairy Xuanxin, who had the Ice Phoenix true body, would cause such a phenomenon. A wave of auspicious qi enveloped the Square Heaven Great World, covering every corner. In an instant, the evil qi death chi, and evil chi brought about by the power of the three evil suns in the sky were all swept away. Those injured cultivators, commoners, demons, beasts, and even all living creatures seemed to have been blessed by the heavens. Their injuries were unbelievably healed, and they were full of vitality. Some cultivators who were shackled by bottlenecks were affected by this auspicious chi, and their shackles actually loosened a little. Under this auspicious and peaceful aura, all calamities, misfortune, evil, and violence were completely eliminated. Why would such a phenomenon appear in the square heaven great world? Dragon and Phoenix bring prosperity. The square heaven great world will definitely be blessed for a long time and be protected by the heavenly Tao. The chi of Emperor Su and Empress are in the chi of the phenomenon. Some people also sense the chi of Su Fong and Fairy Xuanxin in the phenomenon and instantly fell into incomparable shock. The phenomenon lasted for more than 10 breaths of time, and then turned into the Xianguang and flew into every corner of the square heaven great world, disappearing without a trace. Emperor Su is mighty. Empress is mighty. The entire square heaven great world burst into cheers. In a galaxy far away from the square heaven great world, Lady Frozen Dream, who had just appeared in the void, seemed to have sensed the abnormality in the world. Looking at the square heaven great world, Lady Frozen Dream frowned. Phenomenon? That's Dragon and Phoenix bring prosperity. What kind of peerless figure has such great luck to be able to produce such an auspicious dragon and Phoenix bring prosperity? I really didn't expect that this desolate immortal domain really has hidden dragons and crouching tigers. Maybe the one who caused this anomaly is the peerless genius who possesses the true body of the ice phoenix that Nai Xia mentioned. If that's the case, if I accept her as my disciple, I'll also share her fortune. Maybe I'll break through to a new realm in one go and become that legendary demigod. I'll definitely accept this disciple. Fairy Frozen Dream's icy eyes revealed a resolute gaze as she once again broke through the air. True Dragon Realm. Su Fong and Fairy Xuanxin were still immersed in the yin-yang dual cultivation state of their primordial spirits, true energy, and even their physical bodies. The draconic energy and life energy of the dragon subduing true body and Fairy Xuanxin's ice phoenix true energy surged and circulated inside their bodies. The fused aura passed through the Su Fong's yang meridian, causing the yang qi to become even purer and more boundless. After absorbing this energy, the world seed also underwent an astonishing transformation. Just like that, 5 days passed unknowingly. Fairy Xuanxin and Su Fong opened their eyes at the same time. They felt as if they had experienced an instant. Xuanxin, your aura. Su Fong sensed that within Fairy Xuanxin's aura, the Ice Phoenix aura had become even purer than before. Amidst the holiness and loftiness, there was also an additional, faintly discernible cloud, purple aura that was like wisps of smoke. It was somewhat similar to the great pregnant purple chi. This was a type of omen chi and also a type of spirit chi. However, it was difficult for cultivators to control it. After this yin-yang dual cultivation, not only did Fairy Xuanxin's Ice Phoenix true body undergo another great transformation, she also obtained the same fortune that the purple Chi Dharma spirit brought to Su Fong. She obtained a great fortune. Fairy Xuanxin's appearance also changed. An additional phoenix tail pattern appeared between her eyebrows, as if it was naturally formed. Her temperament also underwent a great transformation. She was pure and clean, pure and holy. She had a supreme divine might that belonged to a phoenix in the world. The Ice Phoenix true body seems to have improved again. Fairy Xuanxin was pleasantly surprised at first. Then, she realized that she was completely naked. She was also in an extremely embarrassing position with Su Fong. She immediately blushed and hurriedly stood up, putting on a Taoist robe. Qi. A gust of tribulation qi burst out of Fairy Xuanxin's body. It turned out that this dual cultivation not only allowed her to obtain great fortune, but also allowed her Ice Phoenix true body to undergo a transformation. Her cultivation realm would also rise to a new level. When they attacked the Clear Skies Myriad Scroll Door, Fairy Xuanxin's cultivation realm was already at the realm Immortal Six Paths. Later, she obtained a vast amount of faith power in Emperor Ning's mansion. Then, she frequently dual cultivated with Su Fong and took many divine essence pills and king grade pills. Her cultivation realm improved by leaps and bounds. Now, she was at the realm Immortal Eight Paths. After another breakthrough, she would be at the realm Immortal Nine Paths. She was only one step away from the realm Immortal Nine Paths. Why are you still looking at me like an idiot? Look at you. After I leave, I really have to consider finding you a few imperial concubines. Seeing that Su Fong was still looking at her longingly, as if he hadn't had enough, Fairy Xuanxin blushed again. She rolled her eyes at Su Fong. Imperial concubines. That's not necessary. Su Fong coughed. I'm going to level up. You should also cultivate. You must have gained a lot from this dual cultivation. Fairy Xuanxin left her bedroom and flew across the sky to the cave abode in the icy plains of the true dragon realm. Xuanxin seems to have gained a lot from this dual cultivation. I didn't expect the dragon-taming true body to have such a wonderful effect. Su Fong was naturally happy that Fairy Xuanxin's strength had increased. Su Fong was shocked when he checked his physical body, vital energy, and heaven and earth Dao Palace. After absorbing the dragon Qi, the dragon taming wood had transformed. It extended from Su Fong's left arm to his chest, head, and half of his right arm. After this dual cultivation, his entire right arm had been fused with the dragon taming wood. In addition, the blood threads of the dragon taming wood had fused with more flesh, blood, and meridians. After activating the dragon taming true body, his upper body, including his arms and head, had turned into a dragon's body. His life force and Dragon Clan strength had almost doubled. His cultivation had also reached the peak of the Saint Immortal realm. Although the increase didn't seem to be huge, it was equivalent to the effect of other Saint Immortal realm experts absorbing the natural spiritual energy of heaven and earth to cultivate for tens of thousands or even tens of thousands of years. In the past, every time he used the heavenly secret life shrinking technique to the extreme, it would consume too much of his life force. Although he could replenish his life force by swallowing elixirs and spiritual items, it would leave behind many hidden dangers that might even affect his future cultivation. Moreover, when he swallowed elixirs and spiritual items, some impurities would settle in his body. A small portion of the medicinal power would also remain in his body. The dual cultivation this time had unexpectedly attained the level of dragon and phoenix, bringing prosperity, causing these hidden dangers to be completely eliminated. Merely this gain was sufficient to make Su Fong feel pleasantly surprised. His young immortal had also become more stable, and his dermic power ocean had become even more vast. Crack! Crack! Suddenly, there was a huge commotion in the heaven and earth Dao Palace. He quickly separated a young immortal and entered the heaven and earth Dao Palace. He saw that the newly born world seed had expanded a little. A little bulge appeared on the seed, as if it was about to sprout. The speed of the seed's rotation had also increased, and the speed at which it absorbed the power of the world had also increased by a lot. However, the commotion didn't come from the world seed or the yang meridian that formed the heaven and earth Dao Palace. It came from the five-colored stone egg. Fairy Xuanxin had obtained this five-colored stone egg by accident in the Huang Zhe astral realm. In order to thank Su Fong for saving her life, she gave it to Su Fong. Su Fong had placed it in the heaven and earth Dao Palace to absorb Su Fong's true qi, blood qi, and especially yang qi. No one knew what kind of strange beast was being nurtured in the stone egg. After so many years, the stone egg had only moved twice. The first change was when Su Fong and Fairy Xuanxin had their first yin and yang dual cultivation. After absorbing Fairy Xuanxin's Ice Phoenix aura, cracks appeared on the stone egg. The second change was when Su Fong swallowed the divine essence elixir. The stone egg gained divine power, and more cracks appeared on it. After that, no matter if it was dual cultivation or swallowing the divine essence elixir, the stone egg didn't change much. It just had more cracks, and the life aura it emitted became stronger. The stone egg was an ancient item. It had inadvertently obtained the power of the divine phoenix in the Phoenix Transformation Valley in the Huang Ze astral realm to transform from an immortal to a god. As a result, it had mutated. Su Fong had analyzed that in order for the stone egg to continue transforming, other than yang qi, it also needed some special power. Unexpectedly, during dual cultivation with Fairy Xuanxin this time, the stone egg had absorbed the power of the dragon qi and ice phoenix aura. It had undergone another huge change, and it was an earth-shattering one. Crack! Crack! The cracks on the stone egg shell became denser and denser. In the end, it completely shattered. Boom! A mysterious power exploded from the shattered stone egg. It swept through the Tao Palace of heaven and earth, causing a huge commotion. The yang meridians shook together with the world seed. Then, a dazzling five-colored Xian Guang bloomed. It was as if a divine sun had appeared in the Tao Palace of heaven and earth. The Tao Palace of heaven and earth was dyed in colors, and it was filled with divine light. The underworld reincarnation sword and Xianming lightning scroll kept trembling in the five-colored Xianguang. Even the origin sacred mirror was moving. Buzz, buzz! After absorbing the birth and transformation power of the creature in the stone egg, the mirror's surface surged with ancient crimson light. Su Fong didn't have time to pay attention to the mirror. The young immortal was fully focused on the five-colored Xianguang. In the light, there was a strange creature emitting a vast life aura. Seeing this scene, Su Fangyang Xian could not help but be dumbfounded. Through the five-colored Xianguang, he could see the creature born in the stone egg. Its body was curled up, and it looked like it hadn't woken up yet. This creature was very strange. It had the body of a divine dragon, but the wings and tail of a divine phoenix. It had a dragon's head, a phoenix's beak, and a flaming crown on its head. However, it was bald and without feathers. It was as ugly as a bald chicken. What shocked Su Fong the most was that within the aura, he felt as if it was connected to his own flesh and blood. It was no wonder that the stone egg had been devouring his blood essence, true qi, and yang energy for so many years. It was no different from his child. I actually gave birth to a child, and it's such an ugly one. He already had a monstrous child like Gue Gue, and now there was another one. This monster was born by devouring the aura of Su Fong and Fairy Xuanxin. It was similar to their child. Thinking of this, Su Fong shuddered. What made Su Fong especially depressed was that this child was born from his body. For a moment, his mind was filled with absurdity. At this time, Law, who was in the blood jade cage, suddenly shouted, "What are you waiting for? This divine creature is about to be born. Quickly send it into nature and let it absorb the power of nature." Su Fong didn't have time to ask anything. He immediately flew out of the true dragon realm and appeared in the square heaven great world. Then, he directly passed through the world barrier and came to the sky above the great world. Law, what kind of energy does this thing need to absorb to be born? Su Fong moved the creature wrapped in the five-colored Xian Guang out of the heaven and earth palace. However, he didn't know what to do. He could only ask Law for advice. =_ our download address. Mobile reading. Bibliographic review. Chapter 1426. Law responded to Su Fong with a smile. "Don't ask me. This monster is your child. It needs milk. You, as its father, don't even know, so how would I, an outsider, know?" Su Fong didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Law, can you be serious?" "Haha, then let's get down to business. I've never seen such a strange creature, but it was born after absorbing your yang qi, and its aura also has the aura of the divine phoenix. Let's wait and see. Maybe it can swallow the yang qi of the divine sun on its own." At this time, the creature in the colorful Xian Guang moved, struggling to slowly raise its head, facing the four divine suns in the sky, opened its mouth and sucked fiercely. The scorching light beams shot from the sky twisted and converged towards this side, turning into flames that enveloped the creatures and burned them. Su Fong was worried this little thing that had just been born would be burned to death by such a terrible fire. However, in the next moment, the fire was sucked into the creature's body through its mouth and nose, and even its skin was constantly penetrated by the fire. In an instant, the raging fire was completely absorbed. What kind of monster is this? It's so terrible that it can swallow the sun. Su Fong gasped. This stone egg should be the egg of an ancient creature with the blood of the divine dragon, and then it happened to obtain the transformation power of a certain creature when it transformed into a divine phoenix, from an immortal to a god, causing the creature in the stone egg to mutate. It is no longer the creature it used to be, but a kind of dragon bird that is like a dragon and a phoenix, but not a dragon and not a phoenix. It is also because it has the aura of the divine dragon and the divine phoenix at the same time. This dragon bird absorbed the aura of the dragon and the phoenix, which led to its birth. The divine phoenix is reborn from the fire and likes to devour the power of fire. And this strange beast has obtained the transformation power of the divine phoenix. So it naturally has some of the special abilities of the divine phoenix. Just between Su Fong and Law, the dragon bird that absorbed the fire of the divine sun had some subtle changes equals in _R. The dragon bird's body stretched out a little, and the colorful Xian Guang surrounding it shrank and condensed on its body, making it colorful and not as ugly as before. Then, the dragon bird kept opening its mouth to absorb the light released by the divine sun. Its body became stronger and larger, but it remained curled up with its eyes closed, like a baby that had just left its mother's womb. This lasted for 15 days. The divine sun flame that the dragon bird had swallowed was enough to burn down a part of the immortal realm. Its body stopped growing after it had grown to about 10 feet in length. The colorful Xian Guang had also merged with its body and turned into a dazzling, colorful feather. Its head was burning with a crimson flame crown, and its tail was dragging a long, colorful feather. Its eyes had been closed the whole time, and no one knew when it would wake up. However, Su Fong could sense that the bloodline connection between him and the dragon bird was becoming clearer, and the dragon bird's life force was becoming stronger and more stable. Law estimated that it would take many years for the dragon bird to wake up. After all, it was a dragon bird that had absorbed the supreme divine power from an immortal to a god. The birth process not only required special power, but also a long time. Su Fong simply sat cross-legged in the air, cultivating while waiting for the dragon bird to wake up. Look at the Hunyuan sacred mirror. Su Fong took out the mirror. After activating it, a crimson Xian Guang immediately appeared on the surface of the mirror. It contained pure and majestic yang qi, and also had the aura of divine power. It was more than 10 times more abundant than the divine power contained in the divine essence pill. What is this? Su Fong was surprised. Law responded, this thing is a special power produced by the dragon bird when it hatched from a stone egg. It is also a kind of transformation power. This is a good thing, although it is not as good as the transformation power of the divine phoenix from an immortal to a god. It is much more powerful than your divine essence pill. If you use it to cultivate your divine level cultivation method, or even the world seed, it will be of great help. I can use it to break through the yang meridian. Su Fong made up his mind. After all, the dragon bird would not wake up for a while. He opened his mouth and sucked. The crimson Xian Guang on the surface of the mirror entered Su Fong's body through his mouth. Using the 9 Yang 9 transformations technique, the scorching power entered the yin-yang Dao wheel formed by the 37 yang meridians and suddenly caused a violent tremor. It turned out that during the years of transforming the heaven great world, Su Fong had not neglected his cultivation. He had continuously cultivated the 9 yang 9 transformations. In addition, he had swallowed many divine essence pills and king grade pills, as well as fire elemental spiritual objects. 50 years ago, he had successfully formed the 37th Yang Meridian. At this moment, the 38th Yang Meridian that was breaking through had received a little of the transformation power from the dragon bird's birth, and it had quickly formed. The 38th Yang Meridian was about to be born. In his surprise, Su Fong used all his strength to activate the 9-yang 9 transformations, and used all the power in the yin-yang Dao wheel to break through the 38th yang meridian. At the same time, he absorbed the extremely cold yin qi in the origin essence sacred realm, causing the yang energy in the yang meridian to become more perfect and profound. In an instant, the yin-yang Dao wheel burned and trembled. Furthermore, all the yang energy would pass through the world seed time and time again, causing the yin-yang energy in the world seed to continuously increase. Qi, under the onslaught of the yang energy flames, the 38th meridian that was being attacked instantly trembled. The entire meridian instantly went from a state of burning pure yang true fire to a jade-colored simple meridian equals _R. The 38th yang meridian was successfully born. Following that, the yang meridian automatically moved and merged with the 37th yang meridian of the yin-yang Dao wheel, forming the yin-yang Dao wheel that was formed by the 38th yang meridian. Following that, Su Fong swallowed half a divine essence pill and some yin-yang immortal sky pills. He also absorbed the transformation power from the dragon bird's birth and cultivated the 9-yang 9 transformations to replenish the yang energy in the yang meridian. At the same time, he was breaking through the 39th yang meridian outside the 38th yang meridian that had just formed. Unexpectedly, as a large amount of transformation power surged into the yang meridian, it suddenly produced another shocking tremor. The 39th yang meridian that was breaking through had a feeling that it was undergoing a transformation and was about to be born. Logically speaking, a newly born yang meridian would require a long period of cultivation before a new yang meridian would be born. Moreover, it would also require a certain amount of luck. However, Su Fong had a similar experience when he absorbed I's spirit tribe power in the past. 2 yang meridian were born consecutively, so he did not find it strange. The transformation power produced by the dragon bird's birth was different from ordinary yang energy. Not only was it majestic, it also contained a miraculous power that caused the yang meridian to undergo a transformation. This was the first time Su Fong absorbed such power, so naturally there would be a shocking change. However, when Su Fong's yang meridian merged with this power, it would not be so good the next time he absorbed a similar power. Su Fong seized the opportunity and circulated his cultivation technique to continuously break through the 39th meridian, causing the transformation power to circulate in the yin-yang Dao wheel. However, it would still take a few years for the 39th yang meridian to be born. Unknowingly, another dozen days passed. Fairy Xuanxin also finished her promotion and became a realm immortal, a 9th Dao realm expert. She walked out of the true dragon realm and came to Su Fong's side. Fairy Xuanxin was surprised when she sensed the ice phoenix's aura in the dragon bird's aura. When she heard Su Fong's explanation, she was shocked and stunned, then embarrassed and curious. She was the one who obtained the 5-colored stone egg and absorbed her ice phoenix's aura and the power of dragon and phoenix. Wasn't she and Su Fong's child? Su Fong was about to make fun of Xuanxin. Suddenly, the dragon bird suddenly raised its head, as if it had sensed something. What's going on? Su Fong and Xuanxin were both surprised. An evil aura instantly enveloped heaven and earth. This aura contained an unfathomable and strange power, causing the dragon-taming wood in Su Fong's body to become restless. A burst of dragon qi unexpectedly surged out of his body uncontrollably, causing Su Fong to immediately turn into a terrifying half-dragon, half-human monster. His eyes instantly turned blood-red, looking ferocious. At the same time, an evil and manic thought rushed into Su Fong's divine aperture ocean, causing his primordial spirit and consciousness to be affected as well, becoming manic equals N_1. Fairy Xuanxin was also affected by this evil power. Her face revealed a pained expression, and the ice phoenix's aura continuously leaked out, causing her body to tremble uncontrollably. In the square heaven great world below, the big goblin's manic and violent roars could also be heard. Even Su Fong and Xuanxin were affected, so one could imagine how the big goblin in the great world was affected. Could it be? Su Fong activated the power of his primordial spirit and stabilized his mind. He immediately grabbed Xuanxin's hand and activated his dragon-taming true body. A burst of life aura and dragon chi entered Xuanxin's body, mixing with the Ice Phoenix's aura. After a cycle, it brought the Ice Phoenix's aura back into her body. In this way, a divine aura of the fusion of dragon and phoenix was formed, dispelling the abnormality brought about by the strange power. Su Fong then activated the power of the world seed, connecting with the origin of the square heaven great world, and covered the entire great world with the divine aura of the dragon and phoenix. In the peaceful aura of the divine aura of the dragon and phoenix, the great world's restlessness quickly calmed down. Heaven and earth changes, the evil sun rises. Su Fong suddenly recalled the abnormality of Long Xiaojun and the big goblin when the third evil sun rose in the clear heaven myriad scroll door. Su Fong's heart suddenly sank, and he looked up at the sky. What he didn't notice was that the dragon bird, which seemed to be in a state of deep sleep, was looking at the sky with its eyes still closed, and its body also stretched out. In an instant, the sky was pitch black, as if a huge and boundless black curtain had been pulled over it, covering the entire sky. A gust of evil chi filled the world, suppressing the power of nature. All kinds of evil chi, such as the chi of death, evil chi, and demonic chi, suddenly increased by several times. Another change in the heavens and earth. What the undead king said is actually true. Su Fong's heart sank to the bottom of the valley. Suddenly, the dragon bird suddenly opened its eyes, and a light like the sun burst out from its eyes, tearing apart the surrounding darkness. Its body was also completely stretched out, and it was more than 100 feet long. It had a dragon's body, a phoenix's tail, a pair of wings, 2 pairs of dragon claws, a dragon's head, and a phoenix's mouth. On its head was a flaming crown that was more than a foot tall. The dragon bird was covered in colorful feathers, and there was a tail that was more than 10 feet long behind it. It no longer looked as ugly as before, and its entire body emitted a shocking fiery aura. The next moment, an incomparably loud and clear cry came from the dragon bird's mouth. The sound was like a dragon's roar, but also like a phoenix's cry. It could penetrate metal and stone, and it resounded through the sky. The sky that was covered by the curtain of night was suddenly torn apart by a ray of golden light. This was the light of the divine sun that nourished all things in the world. As if awakened by the dragon bird's cry, the darkness was quickly dispelled, and the sky was revealed. As the golden light of the divine sun illuminated the world, the dark red light of the evil sun around the divine sun also descended. Another sun appeared around the divine sun, and there were a total of 5 suns hanging high in the sky. The new sun was exactly the same as the other 3, and it emitted an evil dark red light. The 4th evil sun rose into the sky. =_our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 14:27. Heaven and earth changed again. A total of 4 dark red, evil suns circled around the divine sun, causing the natural spiritual chi of heaven and earth to suddenly become 20 to 30% thinner. However, the evil aura, such as the evil aura and the death aura, became denser instead. The heavens will die, the 3 realms will be destroyed. This king was right, wasn't he? In order to prevent the undead king from causing trouble, Su Fong usually put him in the crucible transformation realm. Although there were no shackles, it was very difficult for him to leave the crucible transformation realm. He also sensed the changes in heaven and earth while in the crucible transformation realm, and sent a proud voice to Su Fong. In less than 10,000 years, the big world will be like the small world. The army of resurrected powerhouses will sweep across the immortal Tao world and become the only master of the big world. Su Fong, the proposal I told you before, you can reconsider it now. The undead king's voice was very proud and arrogant. Su Fong raised his eyebrows, and his eyes were full of murderous intent. Suddenly, the dragon bird's body ignited with flames, and an amazing fire elemental divine power, as well as a masculine aura, burst out from its body that did not look very big. Then it looked at Su Fong, and a red light burst out from its eyes, which condensed into a 1-foot-long arrow. Whoosh! The dazzling golden light, like the light of the divine sun, was so bright that Su Fong and Fairy Xuanxin almost could not open their eyes. Puff! The arrow of light hit Su Fong's body, which contained an amazing masculine power, but did not cause any harm to Su Fong. Instead, it felt like his own power equals N_R. Su Fong cultivated the 9 yang, 9 transformations, and his body was originally masculine. Moreover, the dragon bird grew and was born by obtaining Su Fong's blood energy, true energy, and yang energy. It was like Su Fong's child, or Su Fong's life source magic weapon, so the power released naturally could not hurt Su Fong. The arrow, which looked as if it was condensed from the sun's rays, directly drilled into the depths of Su Fong's body and entered the crucible transformation realm. The fusion of the void, dust cauldron, and the Su Fong did not repel the power of the dragon bird, so the arrow entered the inner world of the void dust cauldron without any hindrance and hit the undead lord's heart. Pung! The arrow condensed from light exploded, bursting out with an incomparably resplendent light. It had a bright and masculine aura that could suppress all evil. It blew a bowl-sized hole in the undead king's heart, which drilled out from his back with a swish sound. Only then did it turn into light and dissipate in the crucible transformation world. Oh, damn it! What the hell is this thing? It can actually restrain me. The undead monarch cultivated the Tao of Death. As long as his primordial spirit and consciousness were not destroyed, he would not truly die even if his physical body was destroyed. However, the arrow of light that burst out from the dragon bird's eyes had an amazing divine power that could restrain all evil forces. It severely injured the undead king's physical body in an instant. Moreover, this masculine force was still constantly destroying his physical body and spreading to the surroundings. The undead king hurriedly urged the death chi in his body to wear down the masculine force. He finally suppressed the injury and prevented it from spreading to other parts of his body. However, after this consumption, his cultivation base dropped a lot. He almost fell back to the normal state of the 9 Tao, sane immortal realm. At this moment, even the undead king, a peerless expert who was infinitely close to the immortal prime realm, was scared out of his wits. He no longer dared to make sound. The dragon bird actually has such an ability. Su Fong was also shocked, but immediately became wild with joy. Luo exclaimed, "Such a divine item is truly extraordinary, truly extraordinary." When it was still in the stone egg, the dragon bird had already obtained the power of the divine phoenix's transformation from an immortal to a god. When it broke out of the egg, it obtained the power of the dragon phoenix, when Su Fong and Fairy Xuanxin cultivated yin-yang dual cultivation. It was born according to the auspicious qi. When it woke up, it coincided with the heaven and earth anomaly. It obtained the aura released by the divine sun that was born during the heaven and earth anomaly. Just like the tribulation takers, it possessed extraordinary power. With so much power and luck gathered in the dragon bird, how could it be an ordinary object? It had just been born, but it could already release the arrow of light from the sun from its eyes. It could easily injure a resurrected expert at the peak of the 9 Tao, sane immortal realm. How powerful would it be if it grew up? Whoosh! The dragon bird flapped its wings and drew a dazzling and colorful light. Then its body shrunk to the size of a foot. It looked like a chicken. Then it fluttered to Su Fong's side and circled around Su Fong. It landed on Su Fong's shoulder and rubbed its head against Su Fong's face intimately. Fairy Xuanxin was shocked and startled. She looked at the dragon bird curiously. Su Fong smiled and said, "That's your mother. Why don't you go greet her? You hatched this dragon bird. You're its mother." Fairy Xuanxin's face turned red with a swoosh. She was beautiful and charming. The dragon bird tilted its head and looked at Fairy Xuanxin. When it sensed Fairy Xuanxin's aura, there was confusion in its eyes. Then, it let out a cheerful cry and flew to Fairy Xuanxin's shoulder. It was affectionate again, causing Fairy Xuanxin to be surprised, happy, and a little shy. Luo sighed from a blood jade in Su Fang's body. Your two sons are extremely evil, but the dragon bird is full of masculine aura. One is good and the other is evil. They appeared in your body at the same time. This shows how extraordinary your power is and how exuberant your luck is. Su Fang also felt that it was inconceivable. However, looking at the 5 divine suns in the sky, Su Fang's mood suddenly became heavy. When the 3rd evil sun rose into the sky, the catastrophe in the macro world had just begun. The resurrected experts and the Devil Clan were ready to make a move. Now that the 4th evil sun had appeared, the catastrophe in the macro world would definitely erupt and sweep across the entire macro world. Su Fang's square heaven world would definitely not be spared. If it was really as the King of the Dead said, the evil suns in the sky were the power released by a supreme evil god in the universe. Later, more evil suns would descend, and the catastrophe would become more and more intense. At this time, the micro world was almost in a state of destruction. What would happen next? There was a long silence. Su Fang looked up at the evil suns in the sky. His eyes were hale and hearty. My fate can't be ruled by the heavenly Tao. Neither can the evil suns. I am the ruler of my own fate. Whether I live or die, I, Su Fang, will walk down this path unswervingly. I will use all my strength to fight for a chance of survival for myself, my family, and my friends. The heavens can be punished and the earth can be destroyed. If the heavens obstruct me, then I will destroy the heavens. If the evil god destroys me, then I will kill the god. A domineering and unyielding will that look down on the world shot up into the sky. Heaven and earth changed. The influence of the evil power in the square heaven world was neutralized by Su Fang and Fairy Xuanxin together. However, in the other macro worlds, it triggered a catastrophe. The big goblin's consciousness was controlled by the evil power. They fell into a state of madness and attacked the areas where humans lived. There were also some sealed ancient demons and big goblin whose seals were loosened or even broken. They escaped and wreaked havoc in the immortal world. What was even more terrifying was that the immortals, demons, and big goblin who had died long ago were all revived under the influence of the evil suns. It was not just this immortal domain. Countless macro worlds in the immortal domain were completely engulfed by the catastrophe. The disaster of destruction spread to every corner of the immortal world. Lightning world in the illuminating sky. Lightning waterfall abyss. Whoosh! A white and fat elder appeared in the sky above the lightning waterfall abyss. It was Venerable Ji Xing of the Great Star Hall. Looking down at the lightning waterfall abyss, Venerable Ji Xing shook his head and smiled with disdain. The great demon Venerable is actually trapped in the lightning waterfall abyss and is in a severely injured state. The demon race paid a huge price to have the Great Star Hall rescue him. What a shame to the demon world. As it turned out, the main purpose of Venerable Ji Xing's trip to this immortal realm was because the Great Star Hall had accepted a mission from the devil race to rescue the Devil Lord and Devil Emperor Crimson Nightmare, who were trapped at the bottom of the lightning fall abyss. Just as Venerable Ji Xing was about to enter the lightning waterfall abyss, heaven and earth changed. The 4th evil sun rose. Another divine sun has risen to the sky. What the hell is happening? Even with Ji Xing's powerful strength, he was still trembling in fear when he saw the divine sun that had risen to the sky. Whoosh! 2 figures jumped out of the sea of lightning in the lightning waterfall abyss. One of them had pale skin and blood-red eyes. His body had a profound aura that was as vast as the starry sky. However, his body was covered with scars caused by the destructive lightning energy. He looked miserable. The other one was a skinny elder who looked like a dried corpse. He was wearing a Taoist robe with lightning patterns on it. His eyes were dark and deep, as if they contained terrifying Yin lightning. Other than the terrifying death chi and evil chi, there was also a strange lunar magnetic essence chi. He was a revived expert. 5 divine suns. No wonder I could escape so easily. I finally left that damn place. I'm free. I'm finally free. Looking at the sky, the dried corpse elder laughed wildly. His voice was filled with evil and ruthlessness. This elder was the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor who was trapped in the lunar magnetic essence stone. As for the middle-aged man, he was the demon Venerable who came from the demon world with the help of the underworld demon mirror. Su Fong used the power of the lunar magnetic essence stone and the lightning energy in the lightning waterfall abyss to injure the demon Venerable. After that, he fought with the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor for many years and almost died. Later, the demon Venerable and the revived heavenly slaughter lightning emperor reached an agreement. Both of them worked together to escape from the lightning waterfall abyss. However, the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor was trapped in the lunar magnetic essence stone, and the demon Venerable was seriously injured. He had no choice but to contact the demon world through the underworld demon mirror and ask the demon race to send experts to rescue him. Who would have thought that the lightning nature force in the lightning waterfall abyss would be suppressed while the demon lord's strength would soar and recover a lot? At the same time, the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor finally got rid of the lunar magnetic essence stone's control and escaped from the lightning waterfall abyss. Great Star Hall's immortal Venerable Ji Xing greets demon Venerable Manshur. Congratulations on escaping. Immortal Venerable Ji Xing cupped his fists towards the demon Venerable and said with a smile, "Human immortal Venerable expert." Demon Venerable's eyes were burning with bloodlight. The heavenly slaughter lightning emperor laughed. "Manshur, let's work together again. Let's kill this immortal Venerable and divide his loot." Immortal Venerable Ji Xing quickly explained his intentions, and Demon Venerable Manshur dropped the matter. Looking at the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor, Demon Venerable Manshur said, "Heavenly slaughter, your strength is not bad. Why don't you follow this seat and conquer this immortal domain? You can devour all the living beings here." The heavenly slaughter lightning emperor shook his head and said, "Let's kill that shameless cultivator called Su Fong first. We'll talk about other matters later." Su Fong, this human ant, this venerable will torture him for 1,000,000 years and then devour his physical body and young immortal bit by bit. Demon Venerable Manshur's eyes shot out blood-light devil flames as he said with a dense killing intent, "It seems like Su Fong is not only powerful, but his ability to provoke enemies is also unparalleled in the great world. Ha ha ha, this time, this venerable doesn't even need to act. Su Fong, this ant who dares to provoke the Great Star Hall, won't be able to keep his life." Ji Xing was startled at first, but soon after, he laughed complacently. Square Heaven Great World. A white-haired old woman appeared above the barrier. It was a mortal elder frozen dream. =R download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1428. Wang Su Fong's perfect circle sensed the appearance of a boundless aura and was shocked. In the next moment, Fairy Frozen Dream appeared above the Square Heaven Great World. Following her appearance, the Square Heaven Great World and even the void outside instantly became cold and silent. Immortal Venerable Expert. Su Fongdao was shocked and became alert. At the same time, he used his primordial spirit to order the experts in the Square Heaven Great World to activate the world barrier at any time. At the same time, he also informed his second primordial spirit to be ready to attack at any time. Su Fong also took out the Xianming Lightning Archive. The Tao runes of destiny in the sea of his divine aperture flickered, and the lightning of destiny was ready to be released at any time. Immortal Venerable Expert. She was an existence that stood at the peak of the Square Heaven Great World, a supreme expert among immortals. Who would have thought that a supreme, immortal, venerable expert would come to the Square Heaven Great World? Su Fong speculated that this immortal, venerable expert was most likely a peerless expert sent by the Great Star Hall to take revenge for the Great Star Hall being chased out of the immortal domain. Lady Frozen Dream's eyes released a cold light that swept past Su Fong, Fairy Xuanxin, and the Dragonbird. Sensing the aura of Su Fong, she raised her eyebrows slightly. Sensing the extraordinary aura of the dragon bird, her deep eyes flashed with astonishment. Finally, she looked at Fairy Xuanxin. Sensing the ice phoenix aura of Xuanxin, Lady Frozen Dream's icy eyes revealed a hint of joy. She said in a cold and majestic voice, "You are Fairy Xuanxin?" Fairy Xuanxin greets Senior. Fairy Xuanxin hurriedly bowed. She naturally knew that trouble had come. It was a big one at that. She appeared very nervous. Lady Frozen Dream said coldly, "You don't need to be nervous. I came to this immortal domain for you, to bestow upon you a supreme, immortal fate." "You came for me and bestow upon me an immortal fate?" Fairy Xuanxin was surprised. Su Fong was also shocked, but at the same time, he breathed a sigh of relief. It was fine as long as it wasn't an expert from the Grand Star Hall. "My name is Frozen Dream Immortal Elder, and I have a deep friendship with the Nebula Celestial Sovereign." Previously, he had heard from the Xia Celestial Venerable that she had met a peerless genius who possessed the true body of an ice phoenix in this immortal realm. It just so happens that this noble one also cultivates the divine ability of extreme coldness, and has always been looking for a successor, yet has never been able to do so. Thus, this noble one specially rushed to this celestial realm to see with my own eyes. You really do possess the true body of an ice phoenix. How great of a future can such a peerless genius have in this desolate, immortal domain? Meeting me can be considered your great fortune. Hurry up and kneel down and acknowledge me as your master." Fairy Frozen Dream got straight to the point. Her tone was cold and aloof. "That time at the Ascension Pool, I thought Xia Immortal Venerable was just casually mentioning it. I didn't expect it to become true." Su Fong was shocked. He didn't expect that this peerless, immortal, venerable expert was here to recruit disciples. Xuanxin said very decisively, "To be able to acknowledge Senior as my master is Xuanxin's great fortune. However, I heard an Xia Immortal Venerable say." Fairy Frozen Dream coldly interrupted Xuanxin's words. "Yes, an Xia Immortal Venerable is right. There is no good man in this world, so this noble one deeply hates men. Since you have become my disciple, you naturally have to cut off all contact with men." Looking at Su Fong, Fairy Frost Dream's eyes condensed into ice. Her cold voice was filled with disdain. "What qualifications do you have to become her Tao companion? What qualifications do you have to dual cultivate with her and ruin her pure body? The dragon and phoenix auspicious phenomenon from before was created by your dual cultivation? You took this opportunity to obtain Xuanxin's supreme fortune. You picked up a great bargain." Su Fong bitterly smiled and touched the tip of his nose. "Senior is right. I indeed don't have the qualifications to dual cultivate with Xuanxin. Before, many people said that I was a toad wanting to eat swan meat. At least you have some self-awareness. Since you know you're not worthy, why don't you scram?" Fairy Frozen Dream coldly shouted. This Fairy Venerable Frozen Dream is truly overbearing. Su Fong's eyes exuded coldness. Without waiting for Su Fong to speak, Xuanxin bowed and said with an incomparably resolute tone, "Many thanks for Senior's good intentions." Xuanxin is willing to spend the rest of her life with Su Fong. As for the matter of becoming a disciple, Xuanxin doesn't have the fortune to enjoy the immortal fate bestowed by heaven. Fairy Frozen Dream smiled indifferently. "Another foolish woman whose mind has been deceived by a man. After killing this brat, you'll naturally leave with me." What a tyrannical, immortal Frozen Dream. Not only did she not allow Profound Heart Fairy to agree, she even wanted to forcefully take Su Fong in as a disciple. She even wanted to kill Su Fong as easily as killing a chicken. This was the outside world. The strong could do whatever they wanted while the weak could only be slaughtered like lambs. Immortal sovereigns were supreme existences that stood at the peak of a great world. Even immortal emperors were like ants in the eyes of immortal sovereigns if they didn't have a powerful background. It wasn't strange for old Lady Frozen Dream to be so overbearing. Su Fong indifferently smiled and coldly said, I've heard of people snatching property and women, but I've never heard of people being forced to become a disciple. Xuanxin is my Tao companion. If she doesn't want to become a disciple, no one can force her. Senior, please leave. If you want to kill me, then go ahead. If you think I, Su Fong, am a weak chicken, I'm afraid you'll be disappointed. A frog at the bottom of a well. You overestimate yourself. Fairy Frozen Dream disdainfully sneered and lightly tapped Su Fong. It was just a casual gesture, but it contained a supreme divine ability. The natural laws of the world descended in that instant, and a crackling sound could be heard as a layer of ice condensed around Su Fong. It was about to seal the void, and even Su Fong in ice. Fairy venerables, it could extract the essence of the world and borrow the laws of the stars to the extreme. They could fuse their divine abilities and unleash an even more inconceivable divine ability. They could create their own personal space in the void, create laws and immortal caves, create mountains and territories, and use divine abilities to fuse with immortal formations. They could even create a large world. As for fairy venerables, they had reached an even higher level. They no longer needed to borrow the laws of the world or extract the essence of the stars. Instead, they could do as they pleased. Their bodies were the laws, the stars, and nature. Every move they made was the divine might of nature. Fairy venerables are indeed powerful. However, it won't be easy for you to kill me, Su Fong. A layer of ice immediately condensed on Su Fong's body. A bone-chilling cold force of nature wanted to shackle him and freeze his life force. However, he revealed an unyielding expression and a shocking divine flame aura burst out. In terms of comprehension and control of the world, Su Fong couldn't compare to Fairy Frozen Dream. However, Su Fong had grasped a divine ability that even fairy venerables would find difficult to possess. Nine Suns' Immortal Flame. Boom! As Su Fong released his divine flame aura, the Nine Suns' immortal flame burned on his body like a blazing sun. The ice shackles on his body immediately melted, and the cold force that enveloped him also shattered and melted. You're indeed somewhat extraordinary. Fairy Frozen Dream revealed a surprised expression. Let's go. Return to the square heaven great world. Su Fong said to Xuanxin with his Yuan spirit, and then pulled her back to the square heaven great world. You want to escape from my hands? Isn't that a huge joke? Fairy Frozen Dream smiled eerily and casually formed a seal. In an instant, the boundless space within the square heaven great world turned into a world of ice. Cold chi filled the air as if it wanted to freeze everything in the world. The next moment, Fairy Frozen Dream took a step forward and instantly arrived in front of Su Fong and Xuanxin. The eerie white Xinguang on her right index finger flickered as she pointed it at Su Fong's forehead. Su Fong felt an extreme sense of danger. It was as if his body, young, immortal, and everything else were about to be frozen by this finger. Such a dangerous moment was something that Su Fong had never experienced before. Whoosh! The dragon bird squatting on Su Fong's shoulder suddenly burned with a divine light like a blazing sun in its eyes. Two golden rays of light shot out from its eyes and condensed into a dazzling sun god arrow. It exploded with a shocking aura that could melt all cold and evil energy as it shot towards Fairy Frozen Dream. What kind of innate ability is this? Fairy Frozen Dream sensed the terrifying power of this arrow. Moreover, it had the aura of a myriad of deities in the heavens and could even threaten an immortal venerable like her. The divine light in her eyes instantly changed. Fairy Frozen Dream's figure instantly disappeared and reappeared 10,000 miles away. However, the sun god arrow released by the dragon bird arrived one after another. Fairy Frozen Dream had no choice but to use her ability and release rings of ice to trap the sun god arrow. After a dozen rings of ice were melted, the sun god arrow's power was finally worn down. The dragon bird's terrifying ability was so terrifying that it could even threaten an immortal venerable. However, after releasing this attack, The dragon bird's aura immediately withered. It closed its eyes and laid on Su Feng's shoulder. Su Feng and Xuanxin took advantage of this moment to retreat into the square heaven great world. Let's see what kind of ability you have to stop this sovereign. Fairy Frozen Dream originally thought that she could easily kill Su Feng. She didn't expect Su Feng to be so difficult to deal with. She couldn't help but be angered. She took a step forward and appeared above the world barrier. Then, with an aura that could freeze all power and laws, she charged towards the world barrier. Asterisk boom. Asterisk as if she had rammed into an incomparably firm wall. Fairy Frozen Dream was forced back several hundred jaw. Her terrifying aura was also shattered by the rebounding force of the world barrier. Such a firm world barrier. Its defense is almost at the level of those great Sex defensive formations. It actually appeared in this desolate, immortal domain. Fairy Frozen Dream was not surprised. She continuously used her ability and fiercely attacked the world barrier. However, the world barrier was as stable as a rock without any signs of cracking. A grand immortal venerable expert was actually unable to break through the world barrier of a great world in the desolate immortal domain. In the next moment, Fairy Frozen Dream was completely enraged. After forming a hand seal, Fairy Frozen Dream burst out with a monstrous aura, causing the light released by the 5 divine suns in the sky to instantly dim. Ka. A thick layer of ice formed on the square Heaven Great World's world barrier. The temperature of the Great World suddenly dropped to the freezing point. A layer of frost formed on the ground, and the rivers and lakes were instantly frozen. Fairy Frozen Dream coldly shouted, "Come out. Otherwise, this sovereign will use her supreme ability and create the Frozen Dream space. All the living beings in the Great World will fall into an endless dream realm reincarnation. The world barrier will not be able to stop this sovereign's supreme ability. Even if they don't die, their primordial spirit will be heavily injured." What a cold and ruthless, immortal, venerable expert. Do you really think that you can do whatever you want just because you're strong? Su Feng's killing intent was also aroused. He passed through the world barrier. So, the immortal demon monster was released by Su Feng. It burst out with a terrifying aura that surpassed the sage immortal realm and charged towards Fairy Frozen Dream. Su Feng flipped his palm, and the profound underworld lightning archive appeared in his hand. Fairy Frozen Dream's actions had infuriated Fairy Frozen Dream. This completely infuriated Su Feng. Even if he did not hesitate to consume his life force, he would make Frozen Dream pay a heavy price. == Our download address. Mobile reading, bibliography.